Hello, and good evening, and welcome along to episode 4 of the Treasure Rats. Such a pleasure to have you all back. Obviously, we've had a little bit of a hiatus, as my husband and I have been on holiday. But we are returning with this episode, and today I have playing with me said husband, Josh.
Hi, my name's Josh. I was just looking at shopping lists. I will be playing Felix Nuri, who is a reborn tiefling, who is a draconic line sorcerer, recently patron of the Tarot Master Warlock.
God, our character descriptions are going to be long by the end of this campaign. I have Joe.
Wait, that one's me. I'm Joe. I am playing a steam-flavored Air Genasi who is an element-flavored totem barbarian, basically. Lots of flavor. That tastes good.
Yeah, I think we should just part of the elements, right? Let's just call it what it is. I have Miyaga.
Hey, Miaga's Prime. I am playing Arkorivos. He is a Mind Flayer Wizard Artificer.
Nice and simple, no artificer. And I have Rico.
Yes, I am Rico, and I'll be playing Elmore King, the animated undead skeleton bard rogue outlaw.
That he is. Bear with me 1 second. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to fix something that is only relevant to me. There we go. Okay, beautiful. So, when we left off last episode, we found ourselves in the Food Factory, taking a night's rest. The Food Factory is a relatively traditional restaurant in Mechania. It is run by two androids, Janice and Jane. Janice and Jane are consistent, but getting to be a little dated, to be honest. As Bellows put quite succinctly, it's the dull restaurant in town right now. Though he was okay with the window view that he got in his room. And the free breakfast, I'm sure, which nobody will turn down, as the quality of the food in the Food Factory is exquisite. It is only the lack of guests that is the problem. They had perhaps asked a little gently and a little directly if some assistance might be given in helping them to progress beyond their competitor, Ho Hot Food, the Electro-Swing outlet nearby. I think Bellows wanted to try Ho Hot Food out of professional curiosity at some point. But in the meantime,
Most definitely.
you sort of all wake up relatively early in the morning. I think the rigmaroles of the airship will still be in you on day one. And you find yourselves down at breakfast somewhere between 8 and 10 in the morning. Laid out before you is a fabulous looking sort of fresh fruits, porridge, hot eggs, various meats, cured meats, cold meats, hot meats, cheeses. It's a veritable buffet going on. What are we doing? And who actually eats food?
A good question, actually. I think everyone except for Elmore, probably.
Yeah, because
Although
I changed it so that I had to, right?
Mm-hmm. You do have to eat. And Arkorivos eats when brains are not available.
Yeah.
He seems like the kind of guy to enjoy.
Yeah, cheeses and eggs and things that are soft and fatty, much like a brain.
Well, breakfast will suit you then.
Grilled sweetbreads.
You're served by both of the androids who sort of pop down a few dishes, and one of them mentions to you very briefly that Cleo would like to see you sometime around lunch. She'll be here. 12:30, 1. The message wasn't particularly precise. And you'll all know Cleo's timekeeping is atrocious anyway, so you'll probably have to be made to wait. And then with sort of grinding his teeth, he'll tell you she'll meet you at Ho Hot Food.
Ooh, interesting. What to do for the morning? It's around 9 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, it's pretty early. At the moment, as you look around, there are a couple of other guests sitting sort of in their own corners. It appears that here the breakfast isn't a big thing anyway. Like, even if they were going to be full up, it wouldn't be for breakfast. You see a miserable-looking dwarf in the corner who I believe you've spoken to before, actually.
Oh, I was gonna ask. I forgot his name. What was his name?
Yargut. You should have access to him in the Mechania section of your handouts on Xandros, who I'm not displaying. Yeah, he's the guard captain of Mechania, and he asked you about his grandfather's battle axe that was lost in the Dwarven Hall of Kings. And he is still in this sort of somewhat mechanized armor. So he wears a normal armor, but then he has like sort of certain steam-powered elements to his armor. Being the guard captain, he of course has the most advanced technologies required. He has his strange goggles with the red lights on them that allow him to sort of disrupt infravision. And he still carries his blunderbuss around as well as his proper dwarven whacking hammer, as they call it. Good for whacking doors, whacking rock, whacking heads. You know, it's a good whacking hammer. And floating around him, just a little way to the side, is a strange-looking, tiny automaton. You would recognize this to be another version of C4 assistance. Perhaps just relaying orders, giving information on the general sort of state of the city for the day, whatever. But as it goes to buzz off, it sort of flits round the restaurant a couple of times, and you do see somebody hail it and ask it a question. Should you have questions as to what's going on in town or any other questions, you could address the robot before it leaves.
That's good.
I'm gonna grab a plate, and I'm gonna get some hams and meats and some cheeses, and then I'm gonna sit down at one of the tables, and then as I'm gonna wrap the meat around the cheese, like bits of cheese, and then roll them up, and then eat them like that. And then as I do, I'm gonna be I'm gonna use mage, I'm gonna put my deck on the table, and then use mage hand to shuffle it. And then I am gonna use the read the card thing.
The read the card thing. Do you want to give us some more information on the read the card thing?
Basically, I roll a d20, and then that's the card that appears, and it basically has an effect that I can activate at any point before a long rest, and then I'll have to draw a new one.
Okay, so it's your card of the day, basically.
It sure is.
Okay. Just a couple of side notes while you're picking your card. First of all, it should be mentioned that although you can hear the music right now, there is no live band playing. Instead, you see this strange sort of metal circle, right, that's floating around. It looks like an automaton, but instead of a face, it just has a speaker. You've seen these before in arenas to give, urgent news out. But they're being used to relay what appears to be a live performance, just not from here. As you do hear sort of a little bit of clapping and occasional breaks in the music for normal things. Second relevant piece of information, clearly relevant, is Josh is picking on me because that's how I had breakfast all week. Cheese and meats. So which card did you reveal, or do you not need to tell us? Can you hold that information to yourself?
I sure as hell do not need to tell you. I will if you want me to.
Is it of interest to the table? Do they all see you doing this?
Oh, it surely is.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Felix is not the kind of character to even act on it. Basically, I picked I didn't pick, but I got the devil. So this card represents, apparently, impulsiveness and commitment. The next time you attempt something reckless, surely it will succeed. DM inspiration if you attempt something overtly brave or risky.
Oh, interesting.
Probably not going to happen. Maybe you could.
Exactly.
Can you give it to someone else?
You never know.
Only applicable to you.
I believe so.
Oh, okay. Just curious. Well, as you're shuffling through your deck of cards and the robot's swinging around a couple more times just to check that you don't want any more information, another sort of hovering android with a little propeller on top of its head, swinging it round, comes launching into the room, and sort of 5 or 6 newspapers just slide onto a table, and then he zooms out again. You're getting the impression that life in Mechania, I mean, obviously some of you will already know this as characters, but you're getting the impression that life in Mechania is pretty fast-paced. The gnomes and the dwarves spend a lot of their time mining, crafting, and working. But in between, they know how to take their pleasures and they know how to get things done in an efficient manner. And androids are, of course, and automatons are, of course, the foremost creators of them are the gnomes here in Mechania.
Elmore would like to reach over to one of the papers and just have a look at the front page, see what the news is.
Yep, so there are enough here that you sort of get an impression that there is enough here for one of every table, you know. So there'll be no problem with you leaning over. And as soon as you pick up this newspaper article, you see that it's all black and white print, as is the most technological ability here today. But scribbled on the top are certain bits have been written in hand on every single newspaper. These are the date. The time of delivery and where the newspaper should be delivered to. Somebody's sitting down there wasting a lot of time with a quill. Nevertheless, the headline is brightly splattered across the front. The culture of arts. Culture of arts? Never mind. The Center of Culture has selected the arts as the main display at the plaza of... yes, that. Bear with me a second. The plaza of... the Plaza Strip Showcase. The Plaza Strip Showcase is coming up next week. This is where lots of craftsmen of the area and various other sort of artisans and producers of all sorts of stuff. Basically, they have this huge market that's all open air at the center of the sort of mountain. There's like an area. It's not outside, but there's sort of huge exits outside with no windows, no glass, no nothing. And this huge plaza is where the Plaza Strip Showcase will be taking place. The Center of Culture arrange this every year, and this year the arts have been chosen as the main focus, so they'll have the central point. This could be music, writing, drama, but you'd probably guess, given the nature of some of the altercations you've had so far, that music might be a big focus.
Interesting.
And as you're breakfasting, I'll leave you for one moment because it's 78 degrees in my room. I just go over the window.
A showcase, perhaps? Usher in the new era of hard bop at Film Factory.
Excuse me. Cleo has told you that you'll be here for 7 days. The Plaza Strip Showcase takes place the day after tomorrow. And lasts a week. So you'll have 5 days of it for your enjoyment, should you wish.
Interesting. Huh. Well, what do we say, chaps? We have a few hours to spare.
Perhaps we speak a little more to Yargut and see if he can give us more information of the Hall of Kings. And perhaps that is what we do in a few days when we leave town. If this is agreeable to everyone?
Absolutely.
I'd say that Hall of Dwarven Kings is a fine place to do a little treasure hunting.
Alright. So Arkorivos will get up and move over to where Yargut is seated and seat himself as well.
Yeah. He sits at the table, his paper laying the opposite way down to Elmore's. Upon the back of the paper is written, the Underground Lakers have recently lost in their pick match. Whatever that means. Pick match? I don't know. Bellows is from the town. He'd know about this. In a strange sport that has nothing to do with the sport you might relate the Lakers to. They use their miners' picks to shuffle a small, round piece of rock into two goalposts. It resembles somewhat hockey, except people have been known to die sort of every 2 or 3 games. It's pretty violent. But the Lakers have most recently lost, which is a tragic surprise to everybody. They thought they were going to win the competition. And he sort of puffs on his pipe and looks over at you and... Can I help you? I've got
We spoke yesterday about the Hall of Dwarven Kings and your grandfather's axe.
That we did. Have you had time to speak to Karnik?
We have not yet spoken to Karnik, but we were hoping to glean more details from yourself. That when we embark, that we have the most information at our disposal, increasing our chances of success.
Yes, that is true. Well, goodness me. A lot to think about. It's been a long time. I don't have much information. I'm not sure he has any, if I'm being real blunt. However, I think somebody else has some information, so bear with me a second. I might know a little bit about it here. Yeah, so basically the Halls of the Dwarven Kings is a place of burial for old Dwarven kings, believe it or not. Sort of like a tomb, but more in the pyramid sense, like ancient Egyptian pyramid sense of like surrounding chambers and old traditions and almost sarcophagi. Something similar, but he won't know much about that. What he will know, however, is that his father had the honor of being buried here. Oh, no, not you. Where is he? No good. So his grandfather had the honor of being buried here. And usually people are buried with sort of ceremonial weapons, but not real weapons. But there was a mix-up. So he has the ceremonial copy of the weapon that's completely useless. It's sort of painted wood, but he doesn't have the original weapon. So he will be able to supply you with the ceremonial copy so you don't get the wrong axe. He can also supply you his grandfather's name, which is on a completely different document. Let me grab that up. Varlus. Varlus. Varlus is his grandfather.
Varlus.
Yes, and they are all his line were, as he will most grandiosely inform you, have been the captains of the guard. And as such, the Steelhand family have sort of been the guard captains for many generations back. Right since, he will inform you, the inauguration of the Hall of the Dwarven Kings, which long predates the Sundering. Dating back sort of almost 1700 years. And his family have always been a prominent family in this moment. After the Sundering, the Hall of Dwarven Kings was lost. Many dwarfs have returned to where the mountain used to be, where the Hall of Dwarven Kings was, but it's not there anymore. The mountain or the hall. But it's believed that Karnik has knowledge of where it may be. Possibly could have been excavated by some of the roving, and then he sort of spits on the floor, undead mining companies who sort of wander unlicensed around the world trying to gain access from Morena to more and more mines. In his nature, you sort of notice that perhaps he feels these should ancestrally belong to the dwarves that mined them once before the Sundering, but no one's using them right now, and the undead from Morena seem to be the only people who can wander sort of willy-nilly around the wilderness, and if they're lost, no one seems to care. So, swings and roundabouts, you know.
So, do you know where we can find this Karnak?
Karnik either be down at the barracks or perhaps breakfasting in that idiot place next door with the loud banging music. Or perhaps he is he's on his patrol. I don't know if he's on patrol today. His patrol leader is one of the Boulder Shoulder brothers. I don't know, there's about 12 of them.
As he's talking, is it loud enough for us all to hear?
Oh, you're all standing around him and sitting there and, you know.
Okay, well, as I'm still, like, eating cheese and
I think
stuff,
Felix's chair maybe backs onto his table, so you can...
Sure. Yeah, as he, like, insults the music, like, next door, like, Felix will, like, stop tapping his foot to it.
No, you can't hear the music next door. You can only hear this music, right? He's talking about that dreadful Electro-Swing place next door.
Oh, but they're not playing any music.
Well, they might be, but you can't hear it in your current
Yeah, now that
place.
we can hear it.
Okay, then. Forget everything I just said.
That's absolutely fine. This is what happens when Kebab arrives halfway through the session. But yes, he sort of looks at you, and Karnik will be with one of the Boulder Shoulder brothers. Best you pop down to the barracks. Somebody will be able to point you in the right direction. 2 floors down, far left.
This will be acceptable, thank you.
And as he sort of finishes saying that, sort of bursting through the door is a out-of-breath dwarf. He sort of looks around and... You! And he points directly at Arkorivos, who perhaps might be the most instantly recognizable of the group. You fly for Cleo Kirkland, right?
This is correct, yes.
I heard that you were down at Clearwater Cave.
Yes.
Well,
Is that what that place was called?
Well. Might we talk some business if I'm not interrupting you here? And then he sort of nods at guard captain.
Yes, yeah, and I'll, sit back at my initial table and sit. Do not bother, it's a good captain.
Sort of, Yargut takes one drag on his pipe, looks around, and it's just like, walks out onto the balcony out the front to sort of ponder his issues. Dada turns to you and, my father, you see, was a miner. A great one. He owned a massive mine. Mithril, you know. In Clearwater Cave, nonetheless. No less. It was sealed off after the unusual dragon came.
Dragon, you say?
We encountered no dragon in this cave.
Well, indeed, but did you get into the mines? If you guys remember correctly, you came across a sort of large sealed wall with a gold key hanging on it. That you would assume the mines were behind it.
No.
He sort of looks at you and... my father didn't leave the mine to me in the will. Being that it was no longer in operation, you know. You can see that sort of half of him is like, that's upset and affronted by this, but the other half is like, what you sort of leaving me a mine I can't use. I've got some mining buddies who are good with an axe as well, if you take my meaning. Perhaps at some point we might return to Clearwater Cave. If you have, of course, cleared the way down to the mines already. Half the work's already done, right?
I imagine we could entice the captain of our ship, Cleo, to ferry you and your compatriots back to the mine in exchange for some goods or services.
That is not exactly what I'm asking, if you don't mind. Whilst getting us there is part of the deal. There is a dragon. From what I hear, you're the muscle on the ship, right? And he looks around at all of you, not just at Arkorivos.
Unusual how?
The dragon came with little shadow warriors. Perhaps it is not fully corporeal, or so the rumors say. I mean, they talk of this ghostly dragon, but, well, all of your father's men are dead, you know? What do they know?
This dragon, does it have a name?
I don't think any of my father's lads stopped to ask it while it was trying to eat them. Nevertheless...
They're usually so proud of their names. They tend to yell it out.
Oh, do they?
But... Oh yes, those that I have met.
Quite commonplace, I would say.
Yes, they kind of can't shut up about it.
You've fought many dragons, have you?
I don't actually recall. Yes.
You see, while Ceramorphosis does not function correctly on a dragon, it does serve a function.
You see, one does not simply outmuscle a dragon, sir.
No, perhaps not, but... Well... Here's the deal. I'm just saying, and it doesn't have to be done now, you know. We dwarves, we don't just fall over dead in a year or two. And he looks over at any of you and sort of decides how long-lived some of you might be. And upon sort of resting his eyes on Elmore, he sort of realizes he might be outmatched in the long-living department. He sort of turns back and, well, whether it's in this life, and then he nods again towards Elmore, or the next. Should we clear out the mine of Clearwater Cave, I might be persuaded to give you ownership of, well, perhaps say 60% of the mine for your company and 40% for mine. I'll do the running of it, but frankly, killing a dragon is not going to be within my arsenal anytime soon. I would be forever indebted. My only request is that, upon your eventual passing, however long that may be, as he looks at Elmore again, that it would be my line that inherits the mine once again. And that should keep my sons on payroll for the rest of time, you know?
If he didn't leave you the title, did he leave you the keys?
Apparently the keys are still there. I believe you're
Why did we not go in it? We couldn't get in it, right?
You couldn't.
Yeah, we didn't.
There was
couldn't.
Yeah,
there
it was like a
dwarven
caved-in
built
section.
wall. And
Right.
if you sort of mention to him that there was a dwarven built wall, he'll say to you,
I see.
"What a dwarf can build, a dwarf can knock down," if you take my meaning.
Yes.
I think that we'd have to speak to Captain, but does seem like an agreeable arrangement. We'll get back to you.
Walking in from outside, puffing on his pipe, Yargut looks at you all and... Don't look like you're up to slaying a dragon to me.
I think
Wanders upwards.
as he says that, Felix will kind of self-consciously look down at himself and then back off.
Yeah, I mean, he's sort of indicating that you can give it a go whenever you feel like it, but maybe a little bit of training. You know, Dernard's offering sort of 6 dwarves with pickaxes and axes. They could be useful. But yes.
And fodder.
Indeed. But the quest is there and on the table as and when. And
Water dragon here.
His name was
Dernad should again be in the Mechania handouts on Roll20 for you.
Durnad. I just got him. I see.
Yes, I thought I did one of those that brought him up.
Yes, you did.
Yeah,
You
good.
certainly
Okay, right, I did. Very proud of my clicking abilities. Please don't take that away from me. But yeah, with that, he'll sort of grab some quick food and wander on out. And after a little while, you see Nabrak, the little gnome from the ship, sort of pop in, clearly looking around, and he sort of looks at you. Is the captain here?
We have not yet seen her this morning.
We have an arrangement to meet her for lunch.
Oh? Perhaps you might give us his as and when. And with that, he sort of pulls out of a tiny pocket a large pouch and sort of pops it down upon the table and slides it over towards you. And don't lose it. It is very valuable, I think.
Very well.
The pouch isn't particularly tightly secured if you do get
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna.
curious. But with that,
peer
Nabrak will
inside a
wander
little.
out. Yeah, they look like glass eyes.
Like painted glass eyes.
Maybe replacements for real eyes. I'm not sure. They're not looking at you. They're just sort of rolling around.
Like, oh god. Into the bag then, our Corvus. And I'll slide the eyeball back to him.
No, yeah.
What did we do? I mean, bear in mind the bag of holding was at capacity with weightless pebbles.
Oh.
Did we just pour some of those out over the balcony or something?
Oh no, but we poured some, or we gave.
We
did
gave
something with
some,
them.
a couple to the.
Couple, but not a huge number.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought it was. I thought it was a
would,
handful.
yeah,
or two.
I am
Okay,
interested
okay.
though too with the.
I don't know. I
If they
think it
are
was 7,400.
basically weightless. Yeah. How much weight they actually are occupying
0.
in the bag of holding.
0.
Okay.
They're just occupying
Oh.
all of space.
Yeah.
No.
I think 7,000 pebbles is quite a few, although realistically I don't actually know. I can't compute those numbers. But my logic was that the bag of holding is pretty full. It's almost overflowing with these weightless pebbles.
No, we can. Yeah.
Let's have some fun flicking.
I mean, we could just take the sack as it is. We don't have to put
a bag of
anything on the
eyeballs
bag
is
of
not
holding.
going to weigh you down. But I just
Yeah,
thought I'd
exactly.
make sure that you were aware of that.
Fair enough.
Well, it's sort of 10 o'clock in the morning at this point, and nobody else seems ready to burst into the tavern.
If y'all don't mind, I think I might take a jaunt around town. I have some modifications I'd like to make to my armor.
Yes, I believe I will accompany you, as we have time to kill before our meeting with the captain, and I would like to see some of the shopping opportunities in Mechania.
Bellows, Felix.
Fine, fine.
Oh, I do know how much you love walking around Mechania.
Can we at least try to stay to the upper and outer reaches?
Well, that all depends. And I'll flag down the helper bot that's floating around.
He'll sort of do this little weird motion in the sky where his sort of tilts forwards and backwards like a bow. And C4 assistance at your service. How might I be of assistance?
Point me to the finest armorer in town, C4.
Finest? That is a matter of opinion. We robots do not deal in opinions. What is exactly you would like sniffed?
Well, you see, I have this shabby old leather armor I'd like to get modified.
You would be looking for the public armor, the merchant kind. In that case, you will be looking for the smelting belt. The smelting belt is on the layer below the barracks. 3 layers down from here. You may take the train. As you exit, take the 4th right.
I'll look over at Bellows as soon as he mentions 3 floors down, and I'll sort of give him like a...
For reference, Bellows' family are probably sort of 12 or 15 floors down. So you're doing all right. You're staying up in the merchant areas.
Fair enough.
Will that be all?
Alright. Yeah, get out of here.
At your service. Sort of wanders on.
Well then, shall we? And I'll sort of present for everyone to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Now go in.
Yeah, of course.
And we sort of head back over to the sort of main Mechania walkways. As you all sort of pop out of the food factory. There's a hustle and bustle going on in the town right now. A lot going on. Sort of people don't tend to walk in Mechania. They tend to trot, jog, run, sprint, roll, drive, get the train. Nobody really stands still either. It's always a hustly, bustly kind of town. Constant ringing out of smithies, hammers. Things are moving at a pace, and I would suggest you move at the same pace, otherwise you may be swept up in the ongoing traffic. Although you are in a slightly posher area, and I'm assuming we're going to take the train down, not the 3-hour walk.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was far enough. I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Train
More
is
than a
the
layer.
one.
Yeah.
Trains sound good.
And after a while, sort of you notice that people are beginning, the swell of the platform is beginning to get a little large, indicating that the train is likely to pass by sometime soon. It takes about 45 minutes for the train to get all the way to the top, and then another 45 minutes to go all the way back down to the bottom again. So you can always rely on, you'll never wait more than an hour and a half, but you've got kind of lucky. You've waited about 6-7 minutes, and then you kind of hear this noise. And obviously you've all been on it before, but it's worth a description. A huge metal front with a sort of tiny screen like the visor of a helmet is the front of this train. It has sort of different bits of steam like chimneys and other contraptions attached to the front. And there are 16 carriages upon this train. It's a long train. And these carriages are large. You can, at a push, you can probably get 100 dwarves in a carriage. Provided they don't mind if somebody's standing shoulder to foot. Nevertheless, you very rarely would see anywhere near that number of people unless it was a sort of war warning. And the train doesn't stop at the platform. It just moves slowly enough through the platform that you can just jump on and off, or step on and off. As the platform's has a dip in it, and the train actually fills that dip with the edge and metal of the open carriages. These carriages are open at one side and then closed in the other side. There are sort of roughshod, I'd say, windows, but there is no glass in the windows. You could easily fall out if you just sort of leant a little hard to the side. And people do occasionally. And oh, what a tragedy. You usually don't have that far to fall, because obviously, being a mountain, it's layered. But it's still, you could fall a couple of 100 feet if you were unlucky. Nevertheless, sort of as it moves down, you will all begin to hear what is becoming all too common on the train of Mechania right now. which is arguing. Sort of some gentlemen and some more roughshod looking like miners who've managed to come up this high, perhaps because they've delivered some of their goods, you're not sure, are having an argument about their favourite musicians. And, you know, they mention Ho Hot Food and the Food Factory and a couple of names of artists. Gaz is mentioned quite a few times. It seems he's all the rage, the new Electro-Swing rage right now. A couple of times you do hear the name of someone else. Let's get a perception check retrospectively out of Elmore, please.
Dirty 20.
Mm-hmm. The name Colette is heard quite a few times, and you will remember her as the trumpet-playing skeleton. Classic in the traditional swing era. Could probably fulfill decently in one of Kelemvar's marching bands, if we're being honest. She's very well trained. Classical training's behind her, but nevertheless, this sort of arguing begins to really take on quite a nasty tone as you're approaching the first level down. And after a while, one of the miners' picks sort of accidentally leans back a little far and catches a rather impressive-looking gentleman with his beard twined into coils, who sort of pushes him off and, "Fie to you! Don't you dirty me with your peasantry! It's no wonder that you don't enjoy the traditional music of old. Foolish miner." And with that, he sort of turns, and two large dwarves, very bushy, one of them sort of his beard plaited in gold and in rock, and leans forward and taps his massive axe and the pistol at his waist. "You ain't got trouble here, have we?" And the miner sort of looks at him and, No trouble, no trouble. And sort of steps back. But you will even notice in the next carriage along, there is a sort of friendly brawl going on. In fact, there, as you turn to the side, you see a gnome hitting a dwarf over the head repetitively with an umbrella, while standing in a very precarious sort of, almost out of the window scenario. Never mind. The train sort of chugs down, and as guests, you're sort of left mostly alone. You do see one child dwarf looking very curiously. You can... give me an insight check. Probably, again, Bellows, and perhaps Felix as well, as you see this happening. I don't think Bellows is paying any attention. He's probably looking out the window or something, and Arconovos is the subject of attention.
17.
17? Elmo?
Oh, I think that Bellows, sorry.
Sorry, I think I did, but I didn't mean to.
Insight, yeah?
Yeah, an insight check, please.
Ooh, 21.
Nice. Felix, you notice this young female dwarf child, unbearded, which is quite terrifying as dwarves go, is sort of standing there, tilting her head backwards and shuffling sideways slightly. Elle, with your insight check, you realize that she's trying to look up one of Arconovos' tentacles to see what is inside, you know, but clearly doesn't want to touch him, so she's just sort of shuffling and trying to get her eye directly underneath it as they're swaying left and right as he sort of stands. But so, eventually, sorry, go on.
I was just to say, as she's doing that, trying to like cop a stare at him, I'll go stand sort of like next to our Corvos, and I'll put my arm sort of like go to like reach to put my arm around him, but I'll sort of pop my head off and hold it on the other side of his shoulder and like point it down towards her and give her a wink.
As she sort of notices this, she lets out this short, sharp scream and then immediately backs away into the shelter of a larger, bearded female dwarf who appears to be the sort of protector of this youth. Yes, I think scared the shit out of her.
Is she still looking in their direction?
She's looking over very nervously at the lot of you.
Okay, then I'll stand next to Elmore, and I'm gonna use Mage Hand so that the hand like goes over my face and like wiggles the finger so it looks like I have tentacles too.
At this, she'll let out a little chuckle, and you notice that the mother is also sort of smiling tolerantly at you, and thinks the group of you are really quite good fun. And then she sort of wanders a little closer, and she looks to Elle and. Pardon me, sir, you don't happen to be a bard, do you?
You are quite a perceptive little girl. What gave it away?
It's the mother, by the way.
Oh.
I wouldn't call her
in
a
that
little
case-
girl if I was you. It's I think that's just called being rude. She's diminutive.
Yeah, in that case, I'll just say, what gave it away?
Possibly the instrument at your back, and I can't help but wonder, do you play with Colette?
I have not had the pleasure, but I have had the chance to see her play.
Well, I do hope that at the Plaza Strip Showcase they are going to choose the more traditional musicians. Well, Ornacia will make her decision, I'm sure.
Perhaps we'll have something a little different to bring to the table. I plan on working with Colette a little bit in the near future.
Ornacia's in charge of the Plaza Strip Showcase, I believe. She's checking out the area over the next couple of days. And then she sort of leans closer and just whispers to you, I'm her secretary. Sort of letting you in on the joke that I believe she's over here, I believe she's over there. You can see, she sort of mentions to you, I've worked very hard to influence my mistress towards the more traditional swing, but, well, it seems she's going to go with the popularity of the larger groups at hand. She doesn't want to make any mistakes, of course, I guess. And more credit to her. I do apologise, this is my stop. And she sort of goes to bustle past you before you realise that it is also your stop.
After you then, madame. Your name was?
Felicia.
Felicia.
Yeah. I think that might be wrong, actually. I just realising I've just combined two. It's Felicity, not Felicia. Sorry. It's Ornacia is her boss. She's Felicity. I just got scrambled them both together. But nevertheless, as this train sort of slows again as it passes, you will notice that you are near the Merchant's Quarter. It's actually known as the Artisan's Quarter. This is where so crafted goods are. You'll find your tailors, your jewelers, your armorers, and your weaponsmiths up here. And indeed, you'll find the smelting pot? No.
Smithing belt.
Smelting belt. There we go. Smelting belt.
Smelting belt.
I don't know. It's one of the lot. It is the smelting belt.
belt.
Yeah, I'm confusing
The smelting
myself
belt.
now. You'll see the smelting belt. No, it's okay. And you're able to sort of wander on in. And sort of whacking away with his hammer is the bulkiest dwarf you've seen in a while. This man's got shoulders for months. And he sort of looks up at you gruffly and then continues to sort of doesn't pay you any more attention. After 2 or 3 minutes, he takes the weapon and he sort of shoves it into the furnace. And as it begins to glow, he plunges it into a cold bucket and lays it down upon the anvil. And he turns to you and, well, customers, is it?
It would appear so, my friend.
What's can I do for you?
Well, I don't speak for my companions here, but I was wondering if you could help me out with a little something. And Elmore will sort of like take off his like long leather coat from his Morena days, and he'll say, "Well, you see, this old thing is due for a little bit of a reinforcement, perhaps. I noticed you had some studded leather around here."
I don't do the leather work, but I do the metal work. He sort of leans out, and you notice that this almost imperceptible gap where two sort of walls came past each other. It looked almost like it was just a jut in the wall, but it turns out that it's actually like an entranceway. He sort of leans in and, Kayla, you're back there. Got some leather for you. And this sort of huge, bulky woman with a sort of fabulous beard and really sort of muscly shoulders comes in with a pair of scissors sort of half the size of her arm. Looks up at you and sort of waves her shears around drastically. What's it gonna be? What's the problem? Got something you need doing? Hello. Oh, customers. Yes, what can I do for you?
Well, I'd like to have this piece of leather armor here modified.
Oh, would you?
You see, I
So it's out of
procured
fashion?
this fantastic new cloak, and well, I'm sure you know, you simply cannot wear a long coat and a long cloak. It just doesn't look right.
No, and you could do with it being pulled in a little bit at the hips, and perhaps maybe some lacing up the top. And sort of the gentleman looks at her, and I think he wanted it made more steady as armor. I don't think he's looking for fashion tips. She looks at you and, you want it upgraded in how hard it is, or perhaps you'd like some reinforcement placed upon it?
Reinforcement indeed.
And a shortening, of course.
Aye. I'll take the tailoring as well, if you'd like to take it in. You know, my figure is rather on the slender side.
Yes, quite dashing for one that isn't quite as alive as the rest of us. And she looks at her, what you now may glean to possibly be her husband, or at least her work colleague. And see, I told you she might want the tailor.
Work hubby, yeah. Work hubby.
Always offer the right things. Well, I don't know. 16 gold pieces?
That seems agreeable to me. Let me have a look at my... And I'll look and see that I have 315 and shoot right back at her. How about 15 gold? And a song.
She will now open the shop list to work out.
I would like to do what I can to inspect the quality of their work, as I have Smith Tools proficiency.
Yeah, go ahead and give me a... I probably haven't set up any tools for you, have I? It's a con check with proficiency modifier.
Okay.
I'm realizing I've already undercharged you. She'll look back at you and... Better be a good song. It was meant to be 17, it's not a big deal.
12.
12. Yeah, from what you glean, this is good, solid work. You're not an expert in the metal used, so whilst, you might understand a lot of smithing work, this appears to be sort of work more aimed at being ornamental than the more sort of standard soldiering gear that Bellows might be used to. But underneath, you do determine that there is good, solid iron and steel. It's just a little lacquering and sort of... There is really no need for brass or bronzing or any other sort of silly little ornamental bits that they've added on. But they don't seem to be detracting from the quality of the protection. She'll take 15 if your song's good. Is your song good? What are you playing?
Well, let's see. I'm gonna play like a nice bluesy sort of like slower rendition of "Fat Bottom Girls" by Queen, in dedication to her.
She takes a momentary look over her shoulder at her rather large protruding arse, and we'll take you 15 gold. Bellows, did you wish to make comment, or perhaps...
Well, they seem to have some idea what they're doing. I wonder perhaps I should blow a larger amount of money on something better for myself.
What did you have in mind, my steamy friend?
This breastplate over here doesn't look too bad.
Why don't you try it on?
What's the point of going into danger for all this gold if you're not going to spend it, right?
Indeed.
My sentiments exactly.
Yeah, I wasn't going to, but after remembering that I specifically made my character's thing that he wastes resources, I would like to consider purchasing that.
He'll sort of hold it up to you, and it could do with a few adjustments. Perhaps 24 hours.
Apparently we'll be stuck in this city for 7 days, so take your time.
Take my time. I might be able to give it some ornamentation, if you like. Perhaps some brass scroll work down the bottom. Perhaps I could inscribe your name into it. A breastplate should be as shiny and sort of what's the word? Ostentatious as it is good protection, don't you think?
I don't much care.
I have no idea how Bellows would take to that. Do you have a name to inscribe on it, at least? Or initial, perhaps? Or something to identify it as you?
Probably the fact that I'll be wearing it.
He'll chuckle at that, and, well, there is that, although, goodness knows if you misplace it while you're sleeping. Anyway, and then with that, he'll sort of look over at you. Are you currently wearing armor, Bellows?
I have a chain shirt, yeah.
Okay, he will say to you that he will gladly charge you the full amount, but if you do wish to give him the changed shirt, he would rework it into his own work, and he will charge you only 275 for the change.
That is acceptable as long as I can give you this when I come back to pick up. You don't need
yes, of
this
course.
to
No,
actually
no,
work
not
on
at
the
all.
breastplate, I
Not
assume.
at all. I can take your fittings by eye. And am I correct in thinking that the only upgrade you get from switching from a chain shirt to a breastplate is that it no longer gives disadvantage on stealth?
No, it's 1 AC.
Yeah,
Oh,
an
okay.
extra AC,
Well, there is a
extra AC.
14 armor class, I think, medium armor that does give disadvantage on stealth. It isn't a breastplate.
Yeah, scales.
And the idea that Bellows, of all people, was paying for an upgrade that gave him stealth was really giving me a good chuckle.
No, it's just the best AC I'll ever get until I can afford magical or something like that. So, what the hell?
Yeah, I think, when he will sort of nod over towards his beautiful-looking half plate, which I believe you can also wear, but regardless.
Yeah, but...
He'll yes, it's nice and expensive.
Exactly.
We like expensive, and then he'll sort of trot off and leave you guys.
I'm
standing
gonna
at
try
his
to
back.
catch him for a moment.
Okay, you can call out to him, and he sort of turns back and.
You're not done over here!
Good sir, I see this adamantine chain shirt that you have. However, as you have access to adamantine and the ability to make a breastplate, do you think you could make a breastplate from the adamantine?
It could be done.
It will not be today, by any means, but I might consider commissioning such a work from you, if you would be interested, and believe you are capable of such artifice.
I'm most definitely capable of the artifice, but you are aware that there is a lot more metal in a breastplate than there is in a chain shirt, right? Adamantine's not cheap.
It is not, but 45 pounds versus, well, roughly the same amount of steel, so it will be more steel, or more adamantine, but yes, we will discuss price. I imagine it is more expensive. It is a more difficult procedure as well.
I don't actually have a price for it.
That means it's free.
How much? Do we have a price on a chain shirt? It's 30, right?
30, and the adamantine
Oh
is
yeah,
5.
30, yeah.
500 upgrade. 850?
Very well.
Do you want that done
when I
now?
Yeah. Actually, breastplate is half the weight of chainmail.
Yeah, but I think I could
Yeah.
really work out why he'd charge you more, but a breastplate just costs more, right? So
Oh no, that's fine. Yeah, I was just thinking the actual mass of the adamantine.
should be roughly
So,
the same.
but
I mean,
it
maybe
should
he
be
could
more
melt
expensive.
down his adamantine chainmail and turn it into adamantine chainplate. What's wrong with the man? But regardless, he's going to charge you 850 either way. That
That's fine.
feels very cheap to me. Is that really cheap, Miyago? Be honest with me. Is that super cheap?
Yeah, it's fairly inexpensive for what it is.
But it's not like it's not stupid cheap, is it?
No.
I wouldn't
Okay, that's
say
fine.
so.
I take most of my prices from other people who have more brains in that department than me.
Mm-hmm.
So pricing things that I don't have a price for is always something I'm a little reluctant to do. I once sold somebody a robe of the Magi by mistake for 200 gold. Big regrets.
Yeah,
like we were on
that's a hell of
episode
a
8.
deal.
So yeah, it happens.
Okay.
But still, yeah, no, 850. And come back when you want it done. I don't work in
This
advance
is
of payment.
acceptable. If, yes, this will be possible, or I may contact you psionically if I wish to commission the work, depending on where I am in the world at the time. Do not worry, it will be not overly intrusive unless you are, in the middle of the bathroom or something.
Elmo was sort of kind of give the look like, I don't know about that.
Siphonically?
Yes. Do not worry, you will know it when it happens.
He just sort of stares blankly at you. And he looks at the rest of you. Is that like a letter?
Something along those lines, yes.
If the letter was delivered directly into your mind.
Does it hurt?
Rarely.
You see, he just sort of looks at you blankly for a couple more minutes, then he turns around and he walks off and adventurous.
That is all the business I had. If we are done.
Elmore will turn to Felix before we go and sort of say, Felix, my boy, anything in here interest you?
What the fuck is Felix going to do with armor?
Felix is kind of like looking around, thinking, "What on earth would sorcerer get from me?" you know? Yeah, and then he'll just kind of like glance at you. I don't think so.
To clarify, sorry, go on.
And then he'll like this whole time, whilst everyone's been like shopping and bartering and stuff like that, he's been like looking at the devil that he drew. And like the energy that's like been pulsating off of it, of this kind of like luck, that this kind of confidence that you can like go and do something. But like thinking better of it, he like flips it back over and puts it back in his deck, and will pull out another card instead.
Well, I think for now he might keep that information to himself. And find out.
Oh yeah, like unless someone like he's not doing it secretly.
No, but
so,
I think we'll see it later.
Yeah, but yeah, unless someone asks, he's not going to be like, "Guess what I just picked."
It should also be mentioned that Mechania is one of the few places you can still buy metal armor. This isn't often done. I mean, in Arenas you can still buy like metal breastplates, but they tend to have like tailoring done over them. They're incorporated into something of leather or that looks a little more,
Stylish.
Yeah, stylish and modern, really. This old-style metal armor is quite traditional. Even the dwarves of the army, unless they're like just the lowest rank of a standard soldier, they've all got like little mechanisms incorporated into theirs and such, and that will be something we can work on as we go. But it is worth mentioning. And just a heads up, he will also tell our Corvos that upgrading an adamantine piece of armor can be extremely expensive. If you wish for it to allow you to levitate or something down the line, or whatever it is, a mind flare wants from a piece of armor. I had no idea you could wear medium. Oh, you're artificer level. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just like, what?
And the traditional mind flare
on a breastplate
from the monster's manual has a breastplate.
Oh, does
have
it?
a breastplate, yeah.
Yeah.
It's breastplate or half plate. I don't know. I can't really tell.
Oh, cool.
Mechanically it's a breastplate.
Yeah.
So
Let's have a
it's
look.
3-5.
Oh, great. I've tried to look it up, and all I've got is Stranger Things. Oh, cool. Yeah. Oh, that could be really fun. It doesn't look like it's protecting much, is it? In fact, it is only protecting his breasts.
The most important organs.
Well,
in
perhaps
my entire body, obviously.
perhaps there is sort of black leather and then more plate work going on underneath. Regardless, it's a long time to spend in one shop. We head
Yes.
anywhere else.
Yep.
Depending on the time, I think.
I think you've got time for one shop if you need to swing by before you get back up to Cleo, but you're only going to end up coming back down here with her to speak to Laisha, so...
Yeah.
I was interested in poking into primes of the past or wherever I buy spells from. Here we go. Celestial spellcrafting.
Yes, Primes of the Past is a most interesting shop. It is both of these are on one level up again, so back upwards as the level below the barracks, as opposed to 2 levels below the barracks. So obviously we'd hop on a train, and then they are right next door to each other. So
Primes of the Past is a place that Felix would want to
yeah,
go.
well, it's a place that every single one of you, sort of as soon as you walk past, will be a little fascinated by, to be honest. As you sort of look through the window, you see sort of. This is the only shop with a glass panel. It's a big one as well. Glass is not cheap in this area. And sort of moving up and down in the windows are these bizarre ornaments, spinning tops that spin in thin air. There's a floating lantern that seems to be going round, squawking. There's a metal bird that's preening its feathers. And standing at the doorway is this tiny little... it looks a bit like an umbrella, but it has like 3 feet, like it's standing up, and it has a peacock's head, and it looks up at you and squawks and Customers, come on in! The most fabulous store you'll ever see. Magics of mystery and discoveries to be crimes of the past. Most fascinating indeed. Come on in and find what you need.
Oh.
How
Thank you
compelling.
very much.
Yeah. I think I'd entered solely on that introduction.
Cool. As you sort of walk past, it sort of utters obscenities really quietly. Sort of nice ass, weird looking fucker. Really quietly, sort of almost imperceptibly. And as you get in, there is this incredible sort of noise going on as bits of different magic and just sort of floating around. It seems like there is absolutely no rhyme or reason to this place. And this gnome, sort of wearing this huge purple robe that is far too big for him, with these different stars and moons all over it, and this ridiculously long conical hat, looks up at you over this grey beard, and, hi. One that studies the arts, it seems, as he looks at our Corvos. And
It's...
some others.
Yes.
And then you see... Sorry, bear with me 1 second.
Oh,
As you see, he sort of looks over at Felix. And then sort of reaches up and tucks something under his shirt. And continues onwards. So, like, he's wearing this purple robe and he just sort of... He leans, like, almost into his robe and he just tucks something away as he looks at Felix. And then he carries it. Maybe. It's a necklace of some sort. You can sort of work that one out for free, but as to what necklace, obviously, thoughts are going to be on the eye, but you don't know, and certainly he doesn't offer any sort of explanation. Then he looks over at our Corvos, almost exclusively ignoring the rest of you. I have worked with many from academias. Might I interest you in something exotic or different?
I was looking simply to fill out some pages of the old spell book. Am I in the red chat?
You're in the magical trinket shop.
Oh,
you're in Primes of the Past. Yes.
Primes.
He looked at
Okay,
you and
I'm
you
sorry,
wish to
I'm sorry,
purchase
that's
a
show.
spellbook?
Actually, an enduring spellbook would be delightful. We recently traversed an environment both full of water and fire, so...
Well, indeed. You don't want to lose your spellbook. I've heard strange things happen to wizards when that happens. This DM doesn't know what they are. But he'll sort of get you out a book that... he sort of gestures immediately. It's a sort of old tome. It looks like it wouldn't even weather a decent wind. But then he takes a belt knife and sort of stabs at it and then pours some ink on it, and you watch as it sort of pours up to the top and stays separate. Jealous, get me one, please. At that moment, he sort of... Just this? Or did you have something more exciting? Need perhaps a pet?
Oh, say that one more time.
Perhaps a pet?
Now, speaking of which, I believe you have a cleaning cube?
Not the pet I had in mind, but sure. Speaking of the pet I had in mind, Roxas! Grab the cleaning cube, fourth shelf at the back, and this onyx dog sort of leaps up to attention and looks around and runs off, and then shortly afterwards comes back dragging what looks like a really flaccid flannel. It's just like a sort of dry piece of material. It's coming, it's sort of half over his shoulder. And he picks up this sort of rag of material and unceremoniously sort of drops it at your feet. And a cleaning cube, you say? Do you have means of producing water?
Absolutely.
I've realised what I've asked now, and I'm really hoping that you have more than one way of producing water.
I do simply have a water skin. Water in it. So.
Well, he will sort of, noticing that you're about to pull something so Excuse me.
And I wonder what he had in mind for a pet.
Sorry, with my typical answer at this time of during session. Is it an emergency? No? Okay, bye. Yes, noticing you were going to use something so mundane, he will pull forward this really ornate jug, and he will pour out of it. The jug, as you all look into it, is empty, but flowing from it is water, and more water, and more water. You've all seen this trick before and aren't really very impressed, I'm guessing. But nevertheless, the cleaning cube will inflate and start to maneuver its way around the room. That's what you needed.
Oh, it is delightful, yes. But you spoke a different suggestion for a pet, and I am willing to consider your suggestion.
Well, this here is Roxas. We have a couple of his kind. Currently not active, but ready to be. Onyx dogs, created in fact in the laboratories of Academius, I believe. Although Pedition have been known to ship some out.
I believe it is the project for a student of artifice late in their studies.
Perhaps. As you look at this, Okorivos, you can't help but notice that sort of under its skin, you sort of notice a flash of light, and then you're back to seeing its normal skin as this sort of green liquid pulses through it. That you know to be quintessence. I said, we did agree it was green, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Sorry, Felix, go
on. I want to try and get Akaravos's attention without also getting the shopkeep's attention. I want to get him to talk to me telepathically.
Okay. I mean, you can sort of wave your hands if you like. You're standing behind this tiny little gnome.
Yeah.
Alright. What can I do for you, Felix?
If you want to try and barter to get any prices lower, I think my cards can help you.
Oh. Let us see in this moment. Good sir, I would wonder how much such a thing would cost. It seems so very special, and
indeed
that it may cost quite a bit.
2,200 gold.
As Arcaravas says that, I'm gonna take out the lover's card for an hour whilst he and I are within 10 feet of each other. All of our ability checks and saving throws are at disadvantage. I mean, advantage, sorry, that would have been really bad.
I'm going to screw you over!
Yeah.
What an item, yeah.
I'll stick close to him.
Okay, but 2,200 to 300 is a little bit of a jump. Good
yeah,
luck.
no, I figured, yeah.
I'm
never going to try.
But it's 2,200. I do have some others, quite marvellous, although perhaps not advisable to display them in the shop. And he shows you a picture of a marble elephant, which also can be animated in this sense. It is a little more pricey.
Yes.
I do also have a smaller fellow. Well, he's not so useful in combat, though he can be useful for tasks, and a great travelling companion. And with that, he sort of walks around the edge of the back of the shop, and then you see him coming back, dragging this rope really hard. And this ivory goat reluctantly sort of shuffles round the corner, looks up at you all, and then attempts to bite his hand. It's really selling itself here. We do have a travelling goat companion, 450. At this point, I'm getting to the point where I might even pay you to take him.
Let me examine both the onyx dogs and the goat in just a moment, and I'm gonna conjure Herr Kramikuchen and my cuttlefish,
Right.
and
I was like, sorry, was I meant to know what that was?
Herr Scrummy Kuchen.
Herr Kramikuchen. Okay, I've got it.
Yes. So, Mr. Delicious Cake. And so I will, in German with British slang, but I like the word scrummy, and just place it on the onyx dog, and kind of sit and kind of make eye contact with it, and start poking different parts of it with my face tentacles, and I'm gonna pop open the top of my stein with the little lever, and I'm gonna try to draw out the quintessence and throw it into the stein. Kind of quick, kind of sneaky like. I'm not good at that.
As you do this, you get the impression that drawing too much out will stop the way that it works. Perhaps
just a snippet there.
There is a tiny bit in the goat. There's a fair amount in the dog. Yeah, you're able to draw a little bit, but you notice that the dog almost looks a little tired, fatigued as you do so. You pretty quickly work out that part of this is the magic of how it's been created. And at this point, perhaps you realize that maybe the Artificers department isn't the only department in academia is working on these magical traveling companions. The main reason for this is that the dog, you will have noticed by now, has a personality. It's not 100% sentient, but it's pretty sentient. It's very sort of aware of different communications, remembers people's names, that sort of thing. So,
but after that, I'm going to kind of pretend to be more disinterested in it and being like, oh, but this goat, this is magnificent. This is quite a creature. And,
At this, the goat begins to sort of preen and stop trying to bite its owner, and instead trying to look as elegant as a goat can look. You see, it even does this little trot across the floor in a sort of slight dancing technique.
See, a powerful, graceful creature.
It wiggles its ass.
And yeah, I'm gonna start to kind of examine it and poke around. And now you said that you may be willing to let it go at a discount, yes?
Perhaps a simple favour.
Oh, yes.
Would
What can I
reduce the
do
price
for you?
greatly. Nothing of particular excitement. I have some goods that need delivering to a friend of mine, Grunk. He is a I do know this. He works at the Bruise Brothers down the road. I have a series of alchemy jugs prepared for him. If you could perhaps deliver those, then perhaps I could do 200 for the goat.
Oh. This could be done. May I employ the goat to help haul the jugs?
If you can get him to be more cooperative than I can, you're more than welcome.
Let's see.
I'm afraid I seem to have given him a name he responds to by now. It wasn't intentional, but he responds to Bastard.
Bastard. Perhaps we shall find something more appropriate. But
At the mention of his name, the goat looks up at each one of you. Regardless, you're more than welcome to attempt to maneuver this goat into delivering things.
my animal handling.
It is not an animal. Anyway,
I can.
as you walk out, you going to attempt to get him to carry something?
Yeah. I'm gonna start issuing him telepathic instructions to see if he can understand what I'm asking him to do.
In a slightly sort of irked tone, a telepathic message returns. I am no beast of burden.
But if you do this one task, then you are free. Well, you are free of that shop, and you shall be in my employ. And rarely will you have to carry more than perhaps just me. I am very light, despite my height.
I am no beast of burden, though.
Then what are you?
A travelling companion. And a wise one.
Oh, yes? What do you know? How can you benefit me?
How
That
can
is
you
this
benefit me?
Well, I can simply summon you back into your, or create, or whatever, conjure you back into your figurine form and forget about you. Now, this is not preferable to me. I would rather we be friends, but to be a good friend, you should be of some use to me.
Well, we can ride together, perhaps. I just do not wish to carry your Burdens. He's sort of implying that he'll gladly carry a live mount, but he doesn't want to carry your shit.
As long as he'll carry me, that's fine.
Yeah, he'll carry you with grace.
Okay.
I think Elmore during this like telepathic conversation would just be looking at Bellows and Felix like, is he talking to the goat?
You see that the goat sort of in these animated expressions of sort of frustration, annoyance, curiosity, interest, and sort of the shopkeeper is looking at the three of you and Elmore and like looking at Arcorvos and the goat, just like, the fuck is going on? But yeah, he will eventually look at you and just this once.
See?
Are you transforming him into a larger beast?
So, yeah, the large goat with the same statistics as a riding horse, 24 charges, and each hour or portion thereof it spends beast form costs 1 charge. So yeah, we'll spend a charge. So go a big or runs out of charge of your its figurine can't be used for 7 days past. Okay, so yeah, we'll bulk him up and load him up with all the alchemy jugs. And
I can't wait to see what Arcorvos can do with a giant goat. Go on, Felix.
ride around in battle, riding a goat, shooting spells as an octopus man.
I'm gonna walk up to the counter and kind of like it's kind of a bit obvious that Felix isn't confident, but he's trying to be confident, and he points to a ring of warmth. How much is that?
He sort of raises one eyebrow at you as if like, what the hell is a tiefling doing with a ring of warmth? But you do you. Excuse me, I don't have my document open. Don't you have the prices?
I do know the
I
price.
don't have the fucking prices. Come on now. I'm too busy trying to work out what an ivory goat does.
It's 480.
Ah. Well, it's 480, sir.
Felix kind of like tries to like calm himself and like put his confidence in his cards, hoping that like the lover's card will actually help.
As in hoping that Arcorvos hasn't already left to deliver some alchemy
kinda.
jugs. Okay, right, that's fine.
But also like
we can roll.
yeah, but like
While
also,
I'm talking to the goat.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
but also because like this is the first time he's really using them, you know, apart from like trying to read Elmore's future or past or present. So like yeah, he's just trying to put his as much confidence as he can in them, and he'll look at the clerk and say, "How about 300 gold?"
I'm not normally one for bartering, though. I'm assuming that you know this fellow, and he sort of gestures towards Arcorvos, and he does seem to be being quite helpful.
I'll look over to him and then look back. Indeed, we are very good friends. In fact, I will be helping him, helping you. So if you could help me,
Help him help you.
yes, then please, I would be very grateful.
You see, he actually begins to sort of point from one to the other person. He looks at you and make a persuasion check. With advantage if you can reach from the lover's card.
Yes.
Advantage.
It's... yeah.
So that's either a 23 or a 21.
Okay. 300, that's a big discount. He sort of looks at you and I could perhaps stretch for 350 if you can manage that.
How much does an adventurer's belt go for?
You don't want to try and sell that to him. He's going to give you pittance for it and a scratch on the arse. But there is some gold available that could potentially be shared out if you're just 50 short. There's a
Elmore would be.
well, there's also
willing
300
to.
in the pool, right? That's not assigned to anyone, right?
Oh yeah, I guess so.
So if you wish, I mean,
Yeah, if everyone's
it's
okay with that.
thematically sensible.
As you wish, Felix.
Great. Then I'll, like, with a very big grin, like, go to shake his hand.
He sort of... Oh, I've been practically robbed, haven't I? But you're taking the goat, and that's what matters. Hurry along. I think you have an errand, no? And he gestures
Right.
towards the alchemy jugs leaving on the back of a goat.
So I will great. So I'll give him the money and take said ring. And kind of like as I like put the ring on, like Felix has this huge like grin on his face that like his like faith in the cards like actually worked out for him.
Fantastic. Are we all headed to the Bruise Brothers, or did Elmore or Beddoes have any interest in anything here?
No, I think that probably during this time, Bellows would, Elmore would just be like conversing with Bellows, shooting the shit, something like that. Not super interested.
Talking to Elmore and poking at the cube and seeing if I can manipulate it because it's wet. Trying to push it around a little bit, freeze a little corner of it now and then.
We didn't buy the cube of cleaning, am I correct?
No.
Corvos.
Nah, yeah, I ran out of money.
It's
once
just
I bought the goat.
putting around the shop. Basically.
Oh, we
it's
bought
just
a
going
goat
I had
instead.
enough money. I'll get the cube, but I will
I'm
come
just-
back for it once we get a little more money.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I
want a
think...
tiny gelatinous cube.
give me an Arcana check, Bellows. Let's see whether you can manipulate it.
James, do I need to spend any time attuning to this ring? I do. Okay.
Well, surprisingly, I'm proficient in Arcana, but it doesn't help when you roll a 4, so it's a 6.
Yeah, you understand that you can manipulate the water in one sense, but you sort of realize that if you drain any of the water that the cube is containing, you're just going to reduce it to being flat on the floor. So whilst you can effectively temporarily kill it or disable it, you can't actually sort of nudge it in any direction. Though you do notice after a while that if some of the water on the floor is maneuvered in front of it, it seems to enjoy cleaning up certain parts of things. It seems very happy and contented as this cleaning cube, as it squelches off. How much was the cleaning cube? Oh wow, you really must have been
25.
wiped out of gold. Okay,
Or 45.
45. Yeah, you really must have been wiped out of gold. Great. That's what
pretty
we like
much,
to
yeah.
see.
I just got just a handful of gold left. Well, like I've kind of already factored in buying a couple of spells.
Okay.
If,
Yeah, you can do that out of session. I think I'll
perfect.
just pop those in. Or in fact, you can just sort of do them right now if you want to write them in. I'm assuming you're just
Okay,
popping in
yeah,
celestial
okay.
spellcrafting, correct?
Yeah, there were like 2 or 3 first level spells and 2 and a second level spell I was gonna buy.
That is. Sorry, I just need to check that I haven't got a handout for him.
Celestial
No, I don't.
spellcraft.
Ikasia. Yeah, so that's fine. Yeah, you can pop in and pop out. Ikasia is sort of even more ostentatiously dressed than the previous gnome. Longer beard, sort of ridiculous. And he wears blue robes, and his conical hat has a little tassel on the top. But other than that, it's just another idiot magic-selling gnome. As you leave with your magical goat to head to the Bruise Brothers, the peacock remarks to the goat's arse that, well, of all the devilish things I've seen leaving this shop, goodness me. And sort of looks up at the rest of you and... Excuse me! Sort of yells as Bellows and Elmore are leaving. Felix and Arcorivos have already headed on to Bruise Brothers. And you, Skeletoni,
Sort of give him the nod.
you play music?
I do, my feather friend.
Have you met Gaz?
I have not. I've heard of the man, though.
He's a good friend of mine.
Is that so?
Yeah. He is. He,
And,
he plays the guitar, much like yourself.
Interesting. Whereabouts does he play?
He sort of looks at you and... does it look like I get around a lot? As he has an umbrella on a stand, I will remind you. With a peacock's head. I am available for purchase if you perhaps wish to travel together at some point. I would look mighty fine at your side.
Maybe one day.
Perhaps we might even improve the look of you. I'm sure I could persuade the master to part with me for a little cheaper if you like. When you've got a couple of thousand in your pocket. You and I, best of friends.
Sounds like a plan. I'll be back for you one day.
But do meet Gaz. He is quite interesting.
I'll try. I'll turn to Bellows and be like, "You familiar with this fella?"
I would assume not.
Yeah, probably not.
He is, in fact, a stick of usefulness. But in his normal form, he is a beautifully sort of ostentatious umbrella with a peacock's head that
Stick
talks.
of usefulness.
Yes, he's
Oh
a
my
sentient peacock's head umbrella that also doubles up as a stick of usefulness. Because why the fuck not?
God. He's definitely getting bought one of these days.
Okay, and as you head on to Bruise Brothers, we'll take a short break.
Alright.
Hello, welcome back to episode... No, I was going to say episode 2, part 2 of today's session. I don't know what we're doing, really. We're just wandering around the shops. In fact, what we're currently doing is delivering some alchemy jugs to Grunk at Bruise Brothers. And sure enough, when you come in, you will see yourself 2 dwarfs brothers, both with sort of deep brown beards, very bushy all over the place. And sort of the guy turns to you as you come in. Aye. What's the take?
We are here on behalf of the relics and rarities.
Oh yeah. You got me alchemy jokes. Oh, very good. It's taken him some time to get onto that. Well, be that as it may, do come in. Thank you very much for your help. Seeing as you're in the business of being helpful and all that stuff, I don't suppose there might be a chance you could help a brother out with something else.
Well, we were paid well for helping the individual moves alchemy jugs.
We are, however, on a bit of a schedule.
I didn't think... no, wrong person. I don't think that it's going to take much of a... Well, let's just say I don't think you'll be completing it by the end of the day. I'm looking for an eye of a wyvern.
Oh, this is not a thing we have currently in our possession.
Nay, I didn't think it would be. Nor is it something that seems to be attainable within the town. But given that you're wearing your weapons and whatever, I thought you might be, people that go off and do those crazy things that get you killed. But if you don't get killed and you do happen to come by a wyvern's eye, this one I'd appreciate. I did send off to Arenas for one, but apparently they're out of stock.
We'll
I
keep our
find
eye
they
out.
usually have 2. Will you buy both of them?
Well, be that as it may, I only need the one. You see, I'm trying to create a new potion. I think that perhaps it might give me the ability to, see. Really see. I don't really know how to explain it, but you imagine, and then he sort of gestures towards a table, and he holds something underneath the table. I think the potion might be allow me to still see it. Do you get what I mean? Now, by technicality, you'd know he's looking for X-ray vision, but I don't see how the word X-ray has made itself into a medieval past.
Probably don't know what the electromagnetic spectrum is yet.
Exactly.
Definitely no Superman comics around.
So I am trying. If you can procure me a wyvern's eye, not only will I give you 600 gold, but if the potion's successful, I'll give you 10 copies of it.
Potions.
I do on the regular have need of unusual and experimental ingredients. If you are the... what do you call them?
We are
Adventuresome types. Perhaps we might even be able to get some recurring business going on, do you know what I mean?
Indeed. I do have some mushrooms from a cave far from here, if you've any interest. This is
He looks over at his brother.
Amanita caps and blue toad shades.
He looks over at his brother, and he sort of... Frunk! He's got some shrooms. And with that, he will quite simply pay you exactly half of what the abundance will charge. So, blue toad shade, he will pay you 30 gold for 5.
Alright.
And what was the other one you had? Amanita cap.
Yeah.
He'll pay you 120 gold for 5. I don't know how many I gave you.
3. So I can
3,
do
that's
the math
useful,
out.
yeah. But basically, the prices in abundance are for 5. I've just given you the full price of what they're... Never mind, sorry. I think you need to half that. He'll pay you half of what they will, and they pay for 5. So it's 605, so it's 60 gold per Amanita cap. And 6 gold per blue toad shade, I believe.
Alright.
Next time we find some mushrooms, I'll have to get better at the second half of the smash and grab operation.
Looks at you and aye, that could be true. That's not always easy to get these herbs in such good condition as you brought them back. The shop next door, Abundance, they're very good at procuring ingredients, but they're also very good at charging for them, if you know what I mean.
Indeed. Expertise has its price.
Aye, that it does. My brother and I are perfectly fine at preparing the herbs themselves, but they won't let us purchase them pre-preparation. Really racks up the cost. So you selling us these like that, that's very helpful, if I'm being honest. Are either of
We are
you...
glad to be of service.
Are any of you interested in alchemy?
I am trained in the art.
Well, perhaps I might give you a recipe in exchange for your help. With selling us these mushrooms.
Acceptable.
Ironically, could sell you a recipe with the mushrooms in you've just sold him. Bear with me a second. He will tell you that it is known that Hydra Thistle and an animal's carapace is usable to make a potion of bubble breath. I think if I just paste that in... Yeah, sure, and he'll even give you the tech there. It doesn't translate very well from my Excel spreadsheet, but it's pasted somewhat into Roll20. He'll give you that piece of information for free, and should you be interested in alchemy, I don't mind giving you a little training at some point for an exchange for a... And then he sort of makes the universal gesture of money. Be that as it may, thank you very much for the alchemy jugs, and I don't suppose that goat's staying in my shop, is it?
No, he is coming with us.
Very good. I eyes it from both sides. That's pretty large, don't you think? For a goat.
Impressive, is it not?
What has he been eating?
I do not know that he needs to eat. We will see. It is a construct of sorts.
Ah, it's
Conjured
magic.
through magic.
Ah, well, that's far less interesting, isn't it?
I think it makes it more interesting.
You're telling me that you'd find it more interesting to see a constructed goat at that size than you would one that had grown that way all natural-like? You know, just wandering around in the wild.
The man has a point.
Well, to be fair, that could be very interesting.
And you'd wonder what it ate. At least I would. Anyways, thank you very much for the help. I don't suppose you'll be needing any potions before you go.
Anything?
Actually.
Potions of healing, climbing, comprehension.
Sure, what is the shop called again?
You can say yes and just leave if you want.
Yeah.
But it is it is Bruce Brothers.
Oh, got it.
Yes. Yeah,
I
you
think
can
we're all right.
buy stuff later.
Yeah.
And but anyway, you're missing an appointment, so you better be choppy.
Yeah, well,
To save us the really great excitement of going up, and no, actually, we will go up and sit with her for a moment because I'd forgotten we are going somewhere specific, aren't we?
Oh, hot foods.
As you enter into Whole Hot Foods, why did I
reduce
not get
bastard
taken
to his figurine form.
Ah,
before
good.
we get on the train.
Yes, never take a goat into a good bar. I always say. Regardless.
You take him into the rough bar, though.
Yeah, of course.
No one messes with the man with the giant goat.
No, they don't. You'll notice immediately that there is a line of trumpeters standing at the back, in front of which is a guitarist with a cigar in his mouth, and he sort of plays this gorgeous-looking guitar. And as you come in, he will immediately notice Elmore, of course, and he'll give you a wave. He is a ghoul.
Ooh. Sick.
And whilst I'm really enjoying this, I'm going to have to turn this down a tiny bit. This is Gaz. Gaz is the coolest of ghoulish guitarists. And he sort of waves over at you, and out the side of his mouth, he's just like, "Oh, I'll talk to you when I'm on my break."
I give
And he
him
carries
the
on,
old
sort of.
tip of the hat.
You see, this guy is like worshipped by the people in here. And unlike the food factory, this is packed. There are people everywhere. But what you will notice is almost no one's eating. Right, people are there sipping water, sipping ale. Oh, can you shut up? Sorry. Phone's going crazy in the corner. Sort of constantly people just standing around, bartering at the bar, getting drinks, and cramming in just to watch Gaz at work. But as you look over, there is a slightly sort of reserved area up the stairs. Actually behind us to the left from where we're currently looking at the picture. And there's a sort of purple silken rope across, behind which is sat our lovely captain, Miss Kirkland. Sort of legs crossed at the table, tapping her fingers, and she's sort of looking at you like, you're fucking right. And sitting next to her is Brandy and Lorelei. She gestures and for you to come up.
Howdy, Captain.
Well, better late than never, I guess. Take a seat.
We may be late, but we picked up a new friend along the way.
Oh? She looks at you.
I sort of like motion over to our Corvus.
Pull out of my pocket the goat figurine.
Ah, sorry, I wasn't sure if we were referring to C4, who she had already met, right?
Yeah, no, talking about the goat.
She sort of raises an eyebrow at you and, yes, because there are plenty of grazing opportunities on an airship.
I do not know that as a magically conjured creature that he actually needs to graze.
Our Corvus seems to think he'd be useful.
It.
Yes, I had so many situations in my life where I thought, goodness me, if only I had a magically conjured goat, everything would be fine.
You see? Endless opportunities.
She looks over at the waiter and makes a gesture, and after a few moments, sort of platters of food start rolling out. There's some good stuff here. However, this has already been chosen for you, and a large baked trout comes out with potato dauphinoise, a green bean casserole, an underdark fish pie, and the chef's special, a clam linguine, all sit in the center of the table. A large pitcher of ale is at your end of the table, and a really expensive-looking bottle of red wine is at her end of the table. And you seem to have flagons, not wine glasses, but you'll make do. She looks at you and, well, apart from gathering goats, anything of interest?
Do they have crispy M&Ms?
No. I don't know what to do with you. Honestly.
See what else we do.
My Yelp review will be scathing.
Did you pick up anything interesting on the way? Hanging around? Any jobs? Any work?
We have found an opportunity, yes, to find an axe in the dwarven tomb. A wyvern's eye.
An axe? I imagine a dwarven tomb would be quite scattered with them, frankly. Any particular axe?
A specific axe, yes. But, anything else?
A wyvern's eye could be an interesting opportunity if we happen to pass one by, I guess. They're easy enough to hunt from the airship.
Perhaps we should try purchasing.
We were also requisitioned to a clean house at where was it? The Crystal Caves?
The Clearwater Cave you just came from.
Clearwater Cave, yeah.
Didn't we just do that?
Evidently not, Captain.
There's more
Seems
to
there's
it?
some sort of dragon.
How
who
on
occupies
earth, in your first search through of the Clearwater Caves, did you miss a dragon?
There is a separation that the dwarves built before it was abandoned. Apparently they have walled it in.
You're telling me that there's a dragon behind a wall, and you're suggesting that we change that situation? I think a dragon behind a wall is exactly where we want a dragon, is it not?
What now?
Are dragons in this world like the same as like regular fantasy worlds where they have like a lot of loot and stuff? Shouldn't she be eager then?
No, you have been told that this is a strange dragon, not to mention
Yeah, it's a strange
she
dragon.
doesn't want to fight a dragon. She has no intention of going into the cave with you again. But she'd quite like you alive. She sort of looks over at you and... I didn't realize we were up to the hunting dragons level.
Well, perhaps a job for another time.
Yes, perhaps when the rest of us are as old as you.
I mean, it's a dragon who can't even break down a wall.
This is
Dwarves are very impressed with their walls.
I don't want to find out exactly why the dragon can't break down the wall, but it's on your head to be it. Well, I have heard of a couple of other interesting opportunities, but, well, we'll talk of those when we get to Laisha's. I must say, do you like this dreadful racket?
It is very interesting.
I must admit, Captain, it's quite poppin'.
Is popping a word that you use to describe your own music, Elmo?
No, I'd like to consider myself the more virtuosic, sensual type.
I would regard your music and this music as both popping, if that's an adjective we could use to put one in with the other. It is quite loud and slightly obnoxious. Speaking
It's
of
very
which...
energetic. Imagine where this town would be if they were still walking around rather than riding the train powered by lightning. Sticking to the old music is like riding a horse when you have a lightning train.
As I said, a little boisterous, loud, and frankly slightly obnoxious. Bellows. She looks over at you. You like it, do you?
I suppose.
I was quite interested in Janice and Jane's desire to compete with this place. It would be nice to see their place as full as this is. But, well, it is what
Well,
it
that
is.
decrepit guitarist over there seems to be the key.
She sort of looks at Elle and then looks at Gaz and is trying to work out which one you're talking about.
I imagine in the real world I'm gesturing.
Right, I see. She looks over and, well, I can't say I'm a fan, but the rest of the populace seems to be. Well, once we're finished eating, I thought we might take a trip down to Laisha's and see what maps they've got and plan out our trip. Assuming you want to get back to the... Well...
Away from here, yes.
that too, yes. Well, a week I do need. We are unfortunately waiting for some requisitions. Some plating for the bottom of the airship. I think I spoke to you about this. Did I not? Brandy, no ma'am, I don't think you did. Oh, well, yes, we're going to have the bottom of the ship plated. Apparently it will allow it to withstand greater blows, and perhaps it'll go a little faster as well, which you'll like, fellows. You like anything that goes fast, don't you?
I do.
I hope the women don't say the same of you. Anyway, shall we make our way down to Laisha's pretty soon? I must say, I'm really finding this racket quite obnoxious.
Anytime you are ready to go, Captain.
Waitress, I'll take the bill, please. After a while, she sort of looks at the bill and... Perhaps this is the appeal. And she puts half the money she got out back in her purse. And realizes that this place is a lot cheaper. She's like, I see. Okay, well, that explains why the ale tastes like swill. And she puts the money down to the rest of you. The ale's quite nice, to be honest. And the food's decent. It's not amazing, but it's decent. You would have noticed the food factory was exquisite in comparison, but... and what? Well, I, for one, am very glad we're not going to be staying here overnight. Can you imagine? Oh goodness me, that guitarist seems to be coming towards you. I'm going to wait outside. With that, she sort of stands up, gives him one look as if it's like he's the shit on her shoe. And then, as she gets a couple of steps away, she walks back, picks up the rest of the bottle of red wine, and then walks out the door. And Gaz comes up to you. Hey. As I can't help but notice, but you and I seem to be having something in common.
In more ways than one, my friend. Have a seat.
I think I will. I say, you play the new blues, as they call it.
I do. My cup of tea, you might say.
You like what we're hearing now?
Sorry, what was that?
Do you like what you're hearing now?
Oh, it has its moments.
I will say the band's vastly improved by me playing, but, you know, I couldn't help but notice you seem to have a guitar yourself. Perhaps we might have a little bit of a jam sometime.
You know, I haven't played with a full band in, I don't even remember how long. I might take you up on that offer.
Did you march with the bands?
I did for a time.
Quite quaint, but we'll say it teaches you some rhythm. Do the rest of you play?
Who these guys?
Yeah, your friends.
I'll let them answer for themselves.
Yeah. Do you play music? Phoenix, Alcodados, Bellows?
No, can I roll to see if I did previously?
And if you have an instrument, if you have a desire for your character to have played an instrument.
I did put that he can use a flute.
Great, yeah, you play. I don't know if you can play jazz, but you can play flute. He looks at Corvos and, I once knew a mind flayer played the church organ like it was some kind of blues instrument. You know, you know. Amazing.
We can be very good at it because our fingers have no joints.
Ah, is that what it is?
We can do things that your bony fingers cannot do.
He could also play the drums from 20 foot away.
That is on account of our minds.
Tell you what, if I could touch things from 20 feet away, I wouldn't be playing the drums. Wow.
What would you be doing?
And he sort of gestures towards one of the female trumpeters. If you can't work that out, I guess you'll never know.
Most likely outcome, yes.
Yeah, Elmore will sort of lean into to Arcorvos's hearing orifice and sort of just be like, I'll explain later.
I'll play her like a trumpet. Now, after, as well as a jam.
Sounds productive.
Productive has got nothing to do with it. But anyway, on account of our jam, perhaps you might swing by tomorrow night.
It sounds like a plan. Gentlemen, would you care to accompany? Perhaps an audience is in order?
I do not have any other plans, so if I am not otherwise indisposed.
I could enjoy a good beating. I mean beat.
No worries, Velos. We'll play something nice and energetic for you.
Well, I'd better get back to the band. Next number's coming up.
Give me the old tip of the hat. Lean back, take a sip of my beer, and watch him walk away.
Yeah.
Like a badass.
He swaggers off and sits down at the front of the band and begins to play.
Alright, boys, let's blow this popsicle stand.
Indeed, the captain is waiting for us.
That she is. As you get outside, she looks at you and, well, you haven't brought him along like a conjured goat, have you?
Not yet, Captain. We'll see. Time will tell.
Nor ever, if I've got anything to say with it. Well, shall we? Well, she snaps her fingers, and coming around the corner is this sort of strange contraption. It's a little bit like a cart, but it's smaller, or rather, it's narrower and longer, I guess. It's got two wheels on either side, and it appears to be pulled by sort of a crank wheel, I guess is the right way of putting it. So you're turning the wheel this way, and the wheels at the front are turning. And upon it is a large dwarf who is ready to crank the wheel. These are really new to the city. Like, you may have seen one or two before, but probably in the employ of sort of the nobles or really rich. Whereas now they seem to be going around like taxis. Yeah, you can hop back on. And she sort of gestures, and that is really not the music I was looking for. Sorry. That took a turn. Yeah, so you're able to sort of hop back on here, and it'll take you to past the railway station all the way down. She explains that it's going to be an hour and 10 minutes because of your stupid chatting away to Gaz, and you're being late for the train. So, and she'll take you down to Latius. Elisha's a pretty sort of sensible-looking lass. Bear with me a second while I do my little things. There you go. And she sort of nods at you. And you see that she's got these sort of ritualistic tattoos around her forehead. And she carries herself like she's still a warrior or a dancer. But she now works in a shop. And she sort of, well, greetings. What might I do for you? And with that, Chloe will turn around and I can spare 2,000, I think. Perhaps a little more at a push. And with that, Laisha will sort of lay the maps out in front of you. And, well, any questions? Sorry, I'm really struggling to find the map shop. Here we go. So you will find here the Catacombs of Buka the Fiendish. A mysterious tomb which she has labelled as Elven, ? And a second one that she has labelled as possibly belonging to a druid of some sort. The Lava Chambers, the Sunken City, and the Lost Temple of Finder Wyvern's Spur. She will tell you that Finder Wyvern's Spur is apparently a legendary bard of some sort. Perhaps even a deity of the bards.
I was hoping he'd be a wyvern.
No. In fact, he was renowned for having rode a dragon once. Perhaps leading to the name. Do we have any questions about the dungeons? About them, what they may have, or where they are, or anything like that?
Yes, all of these things.
Well, the catacombs...
We have just encountered a great deal of lava, so perhaps that one is not as attractive an option right now.
Understandable. Well, the Catacombs of Buka the Fiendish. Buka the Fiendish was said to be a necromancer of vast power, although, frankly, reports don't seem to be saying that the creatures in there are of much cop. You'd expect to encounter some undead of the less friendly kind, if you don't mind me saying. She nods towards Elmore. The catacombs, they can be what you expect. Lots of dust and mildew and, you know, the old strange swinging trap.
It's classics, yes.
Nevertheless, rumoured somewhere at the centre are the powers to raise undead immeasurable. Whatever that means. And some of Buka's other accoutrements as a necromancer. Other than that, I'm not sure there's much of worth in there, but what will please you is it's not that far away. Perhaps a 3-day trip.
Tell me about this sunken city. Seems to be right up Bellows' alley.
The Sunken City. Once a large city. Most of it is now unreachable. But a part of the city is still accessible. Apparently it has been preserved as it's fallen deep below the ground. Though rumour says strange aberrations, perhaps from the plane of Tartarus, is the possible opinion, have found their way in and have made it their home. I've been told it's a lot of fighting, but there's bound to be lots of things in what was once a magical elven city.
But
Could be
sunken
good
beneath the ground, not the waves.
Indeed. You're looking for something a bit more maritime? Can't say I've got anything particularly wet right now.
I don't think that is too much of a concern.
Got a couple of tools.
The elves, they kept treasure, no? Our Korobos?
Most definitely.
Indeed, they were very talented wizards and sorcerers and bards. Some clerics.
Indeed.
They have an extensive pantheon.
And they also great makers of weapons and armour. A city of theirs could be well worth plundering. Alternatively, more loot, less fighting. This tomb here we believe to be of elven history. Rumour says the beasts within it are demons of the nastiest kind. There's also this tomb, which is said to belong to a renowned druid whose name is forgotten. Apparently he had some very interesting artifacts of his time, though perhaps only usable by another druid, I don't know. Nevertheless, he seems to have left some of his own protections on the place. Creatures of a more natural order seem to roam there. Could make life easier.
Any rumors as to whether he is more of the, well, it sounds already like more of the animal sort of druid, but there are some who lean towards the elemental?
I can't honestly say, to be honest. I'm just druid, definitely of the natural. It would seem that the overgrowth that has previously hidden this place might have had a lot to do with the druid himself. A bit of a fair flight, that one. She won't, of course, give too much away about the location of any of these places, because obviously that's what the maps are. But apart from the Catacombs of Buka the Fiendish, you're looking at a 5 to 6 day travel for most of them, and a 10 or 12 day travel for the mysterious Tomb of the Druid. In fact, let me just flick to our world map briefly. What is of most interest is that the map of the Druid will take you up towards Lazarus to the very northeast, whereas all the others are sort of relatively within the same shelter of the mountains, you know.
I mean, I think I'd lean towards the catacombs or the elven tombs.
Yes.
If I'm being honest with myself. Druid seems a little...
Why not both the catacombs and the elven tombs?
Chloe looks at her, and both the Catacombs and the Elven Tombs, what's the price on both of those? And after being told, she'll sort of... I could stretch to 1900. She's more than willing to buy both of those. Have them in your arsenal, if you wish.
Sounds good.
Sound good to everybody? Has anybody got any difference in opinion?
That's agreeable to me.
Okay. Yeah. As you're all looking over the maps, you all notice that Felix has taken a couple of steps backwards. It sort of looks almost like as if he's missed a step, perhaps, or maybe got a little lost somewhere. And just very briefly, Felix, you see a flash of yourself landing in the ship, but you're not sure where. All you see of the image is sort of the ship is coming down, and it seems to be landing at an angle, or possibly even descending too fast. And then it's gone. Like, almost like you barely even saw it. It just was a flash, a moment of thought.
Would any of us have noticed this?
You might have noticed that he'd taken a step away, but other than that, I think you were quite intently chatting. It almost, to you guys, it may just look more like he's disinterested. Chloe looks at you all, and I think an elven tomb is sounding quite profitable.
I would agree with you, Captain.
Yes?
She looks at Laisha, and I don't suppose you have a map of a, what was it, Hall of Kings of Dwarfs?
Yes,
Hall of Dwarven Kings.
yes,
I believe.
Dwarven Kings.
No, I've tried to purchase that map from Karnik multiple times. Don't know if it's real, though he assures me it is. You'd have to speak to him, I'm afraid.
Might you know where we could find Karnik at this time?
Barracks? He's a soldier. I wouldn't know. I should have some more maps in within the 10 day. Perhaps 10, 12 days away. Due a delivery from one of my scouts. Can't promise it'll be anything juicy.
Sounds good.
But you got a couple there to keep you occupied.
Alright.
Alrighty then.
Okay. With that, she will pocket them. But before she does, she sort of rolls them out in front of you all. And we shall move over here. And see if we can find what we're looking for. So, our previous dungeon, the Clearwater Cave, had taken us to the very southeast, next to Academius. if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can find us a second one. Just over the mountains, in fact, is the... Has that appeared?
Yeah.
Okay, it has appeared for everybody but me.
Yep, that pin.
There we go. Goodness me, that's large. Okay. Just over the mountains is where the catacombs of Buka the Fiendish are.
Okay.
And over the other way, just a little bit past this scavenger town. Oh, no. Over the way a little past the scavenger town. Is the Elven Tomb. If you guys wish to make a note, you may, of which is which. I don't know what, as and when. But yes, most definitely the one to the east is Buka the Fiendish. And to the west, as I said, Buka the Fiendish 2 or 3 days. The Elven Tomb 6 or 7. And once Chloe's sort of shown you this information and made her notes on her own very sort of... she's got a map, but it's like a chart. I don't know if you've ever seen a ship's charter.
Yeah.
Like a navigation map. There's lots of like flight paths and tracks and air currents and all sorts on it. It doesn't really resemble a map as it does as much like a sort of a subway map, right? Mm-hmm. There's lots of lines and stuff. But you guys, I think maybe our Corvos of all of you is the one who's most likely got the most understanding of it. You could potentially work out where in the world these places are based on her squiggling and scribbling. But realistically, your map is probably a little more effective. And of course, there is, don't forget, at Laisha's, a map of the wilderness which shows everything her scouts have ever scouted. So that would be how you would fill in all the rivers, the mountains, the different scavenger towns, etc. It's a lot more detailed than your current map. But your map's still pretty decent. You know, a couple of times she has offered you nearly 1,000 gold for the map. In its original format. But regardless, once you're done with that, is there anything else you guys would like to do for today before retiring for the evening?
I would like to go to this ship.
Okay.
Okay.
It's parked.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I just want to like. I mean, I don't want to be like suspicious about it, but I just want to like go about like double checking with everyone, like everything's running smoothly, you know, like.
Right. Sorry, I misunderstood what you mean. Okay, the ship's currently where it's parked. It's currently hoisted. It's being plated with this new metal. So you can go on it and sort of chat with everybody about it, but as far as you're concerned, it seems to be just standard, you know, standard work. But there is this plating being added that could potentially be different. You didn't see the plating in your dream, in your moment, in your vision. You were standing sort of on the captain's deck. You sort of a little way behind the wheel, which is somewhere you know you would have spent plenty of time when it comes close to landing, as you guys are often ready to deal with any monsters, beasts, creatures, etc. in the near vicinity. But what struck you mostly about this vision is that the boat was skewed left to right. So the left side, the port side, was low, and the starboard side was high as the ship was coming into land. But you've landed like that before when there's been bad winds, etc. Perhaps...
Yeah, but then why would I have a vision about it?
So I was about to say, you know, in the past you started off with only snippets of visions and you've got more of them over time, right? So perhaps that's something that you might have to wait for, or perhaps attempt to find more of in time.
Sure, yeah, he's just... Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's just trying to get to the root of it before something bad happens.
100%. Yeah, no, that's fair. Cool. Is there anything else we'd like to do today? Do we want to seek out Karnak at the barracks?
Yeah, I think we want.
Yeah, I think that'd probably be a good idea.
Okay.
The tomb.
So when you reach the barracks, you sort of met by a rather officious-looking gentleman who sort of takes no notice of you. You mention Karnak's name, and he's just like, "Oh, head down there, 4th barracks, right side, blah blah blah." When you get to the 4th barracks, right side, blah blah blah, the door opens, and there are 3 green-haired dwarves. They stink. Their sort of beards are braided with what looks to be possibly dung. They've got these weird sort of large guns that look like they need to be mounted on someone's shoulder. And one of them sort of looks over at you and... Cedric, at your... one of the boulder shoulders at your service. Who are you looking for?
I'm gonna use my augmented prestidigitation to just make them smell like rye whiskey, something nice, and that they might not be upset by. No, that was. But one moment then. Kimchi, maybe something kind of funky and fermented, but not as bad as dung. Let's see if that's less offensive to them. But less offensive to us as well.
Smell like I've taken a bath. Can't be dealing with that. It's alright, we'll go roll in the dung later. Anyway, who are you looking for?
Thank you.
I believe the man's name is Karnik.
Karnik! Ah, yes. Where's Karnik today? I think he was up by the Plaza Strip. He was requisitioned by Ornacia, that's it. He's on the security detail for the strip showcase, Plaza Strip showcase thing. I don't know, you know, the cultural bollocks going on up there.
We are familiar with the cultural bullocks, yes.
Yes, indeed.
Yes. Most cultured.
Bollocks.
Well, do you need anything else?
I think that'll do.
Yes, I think that is all we need from you.
Then I'm to roll in the shit. And with that, he sort of bundles past you to go to wherever it is he's
Excellent
going.
plan. Anyway, so
You'll see plenty of the boulder shoulders over time. They are pretty nuts. They are renowned for their green hair, dung-ridden beards, and their incredible prowess in battle.
all right.
They've got to be kept around for some reason, right? But you've been told many times where the Plaza Strip showcase is. So if you want to head on over there,
Yes, we shall.
okay. Immediately you are greeted by a very unusual-looking automaton. Oh, I don't know if I can do this and then change page. Bear with me a second.
Oh, that is unusual looking.
Okay, so this is Ornacia. Ornacia is the organizer and cultural manager for Mechania. And she wants you to hire a top musician. Oh, no, I'm reading you the quest. I didn't want to do that. She looks at you. Sorry. And she is in charge of the cultural center to sort of deal with these Plaza Strip showcase. And she sort of looks over at you, and you hear this melodious voice. And says, what exactly are you doing up here?
We are
We're
looking
not
for a
open yet.
dwarf.
Oh, why would anybody do that?
This particular one has information. Karnak by name.
Fascinating. Well, while you're here, you might as well make yourself useful. I'm going to need a musician for the strip showcase. Well, she looks...
A musician, you say?
Elmore, and, yes, but... Well, if I don't know your name, the dwarfs won't. One that's already renowned within the city, if you don't mind. No, I'm sure you can play on a stand somewhere on the third day or something.
We'll see about that. Your name?
I'm Ornacia, but you'll want to get sort of Colette or Gaz or someone. I don't know. Somebody with some name and some clout.
I'm familiar with the two. I will do my
Colette
best.
would be my preference, but I don't particularly want to upset the locals. And while you're at it, she looks over at Arcorivos. Do you do some of that clever magical stuff that your kind do?
Much of clever magical things, yes.
No good. We need a way of finding. We need to find a way of playing music on the train. Stop the fighting. Do that, will you? And with that, she just sort of turns around and walks off.
Okay.
Like just throwing quests at you. Deal with that shit. And then off she fucks. She didn't mention a reward, but you can just you'll probably be paid for doing either of those things if you wish. But nevertheless, you see a very officious-looking dwarf with a humongous sort of metal pole, I guess, who is whacking things with it, seemingly putting market stalls into place. And seeing as he's the only dwarf around who looks like he might be somewhat in charge, you can gather this to be Karnik.
Good sir.
Yes.
We have been sent by Valvus Steelhand. No, Yarga. I'm sorry,
Yargut?
that's Grandpa. Yargut Steelhand.
Oh, the captain? What does he
Yes.
want? Kind of busy.
He would like you to provide us with some information. The location of the Hall of Dwarven Kings.
Well, of course he would. Not gonna be that easy. I got 5. Give me a minute. He sort of turns around and he whacks this pole one more time with this huge, sort of, it's like a metal staff almost. It'll operate like a mole. And then he sort of turns to the others and do something useful. With that, he'll sort of lead you over to a quieter looking corner. Yeah, I got a map.
Yes, and we are going to attempt to retrieve his grandfather's axe, and so we do need to know where the tomb lies.
You want to go to the tomb? You'll be taking me.
Very well. Do you have the leave of the guard to do so?
I got enough money saved up. I can walk out whenever I please.
Very well. We will.
I want to see the
you,
halls of my ancestors.
Can you handle yourself on the field of battle there, my dwarven friend?
He sort of puts down his huge. It's actually a battle axe, not a battle hammer. Sorry, I should have said that.
I mean,
was
as
gonna
long as he
hit.
gets us there, it does
And
not
it
really
actually
matter.
like ripples the ground slightly when he slams it down, and he looks at you and, can you?
Oh, with a little help from our friends.
I want to see the halls of my ancestors, and it's a fair bet I'll be more useful in a fight than you. But I ain't
Then
not
why
got an
haven't you
airship.
gone on your own?
Because I ain't got an airship, and they're expensive. Goodness me. You'd make Sergeant Barge sound quiet.
Did you think I was being loud?
Did you not?
Oh, my friend, you have no idea. Wait till we get out on the airship.
I'll sort of like poke my head forward and be like, this is his inside voice.
And I don't care to use it.
Well, maybe he can shout at a few of them. That'll get it done. Look, not only will I fight with you side by side, if you take me to the halls, I'll pay you as well. If we can do one thing, I want to pay tribute to the greatest king of all. Long, long ago, so say the ancestors, there was a Bruenor who was renowned, the greatest dwarf of all time. I want to make my obeisance there, but his tomb will be at the very base of the Hall of the Dwarven Kings. He was the first, you know.
Well, as long as you don't skimp out after paying your tribute, I think that ought to be fine.
If we get to me paying my tribute, there won't be anything behind us.
Noted.
And for the pleasure, I'll give you one of these. And he shows you this glistening ruby that bellows you will immediately recognize to be akin to your sapphire. And he pats his battle axe, which has 4 different gems on it, one of which is a ruby. Dwarven fire will come to the wielder of a weapon blessed with this ruby. Hot as the forge, breath of a dragon. A worthy prize if we survive. And if we die on the way, well, you might as well have the hammer and the ruby. I've got no sprogs to pay out for.
Well, that's decided then.
When do we leave?
Well, the ship is in dock at least until the end of the week. But we will come and get you before we leave for the...
I shall give 2 days' notice. After that, I'll be around. Maybe I can get myself acquainted with your ship.
This would be wise.
He looks at you. Scarlet Rose, right?
Correct. You are well versed in the goings-on of the city.
There ain't many ships that fly with a mind flare and a skeleton.
Is this true?
Just saying. Most of the skeletons these days seem to be playing instruments and performing music. Then he sort of looks at the guitar on your back and apparently some do it on airships.
This is true. This is true.
I'm sure it'll be a party.
Well, if you thought Bellows was loud, I'll sort of like
Yeah.
I'll sort of like finger like the neck / barrel of my boot
You
cap.
sound like that awful gas, whatever his name is. Look, do me a favor. We're flying together. Don't start playing his kind of music. That's like being kicked in the head by a horse. I saw a horse once.
No. Only traveling music, Karnak.
My kind of music, Lady Colette. She could play.
A fine specimen indeed.
All right. Where will I catch up with you?
All right.
Where will he catch up with you? Where will he find you?
Oh. I guess
currently staying at the food factory, right?
Probably the food factory,
We
yeah.
have rooms at the food factory.
I can't afford to eat there myself, but I might pop by.
This is a problem of theirs, I think.
Perhaps, though. I hear the food's incredible.
I wouldn't know.
No, guess you wouldn't. You see, he sort of briefly bends down a little bit just to look through your ribcage. He nods to himself and, well, 2 days' work, still 2 days' work. I better get to it. And he goes and he takes another almighty swing, hitting one of these pillars down into the ground. See you later.
Gonna look around real quick and deploy Herr Skrummikuchen and just see if I can suss out any more quintessence.
Down here, there's little going on, though you do
knows?
see some in his weapon.
Yeah, I'm not going for that.
No, I didn't think you would. Regardless, yeah, you're sort of free to make your way back. And as you get
Alright.
back to the food factory, you will find that there is somebody already there. Sat idly on the side of the table, watching another musician play, is our lovely friend Colette. She looks to you. Ah, well, look what the cat dragged in.
Not playing tonight, Colette.
Perhaps in a bit. I play when I feel it. Right now, though, I'd like to see more proper music going playing in the town. And all this new crap. I wonder if maybe, you're staying for a while, you might talk to a few people. Find out a few things. I'll give you 500 gold pieces. And a song written just for you. And she points directly at Elle. If you can get 3 taverns to play a night of swing, proper swing. The Blind Gnome, the Enchanted Bowl, and the Black Flagon. You get him swinging? Sweetie, I might even swing with you.
I think I could manage that.
Well, I think I'll be playing on the next number. Have a nice night. And with that, she wanders off. She is a little more beautiful than the picture implies, but she really does have those frightening hands that are almost Edward Scissorhandy. She's got little sort of blades attached to her long fingers. Whether this is helping her play the trumpet, no one knows, but do remember that she produces a second pair of lips just behind her, behind those teeth. Perhaps you will be reminded that there is a place in town, L, that could potentially do the same for you. I believe it was the...
Oh, you're talking about
cut above?
Yes.
Yeah, skeletal reconfiguration and cosmetic surgery on request. And she will tell you that for free if you are particularly interested in that kind of work. But right now, you don't need a pair of pretty lips to play guitar. And you guys are able to take a meal. And the food is relatively cheap, but not the same as what everybody else is eating. Like, while you've got rooms, you're just being kind of a sort of standard, decent fare. You are asked by Janice if you've made any progress on finding them some business.
We did some reconnaissance, but perhaps we may need to go back, learn more.
Perhaps. Well, let's see what you can do.
Information is power, Janice.
Yes.
That it is. I want people to feel it, you know? I mean, we make good food. We have good music. Our tables are spotlessly clean, and our furniture is most expensive. We have the screens depicting wonderful views of marine life, which you can't get anymore. And yet, she gestures around, and there's like 5 or 6 clients in there.
I'll be honest with you. Is this Janice or Jane?
Janice.
I'll be honest with you, Janice. That may be your problem. The atmosphere in here. Stuffy as hell.
But we don't want those sort of rabble, do we? We want quality paying customers. Paying quality money for quality food and quality rooms.
There are more rabble with coins in their pockets than there are classy folk, though.
Ah, but how many coins? 10 customers paying 1,000 is better money than 100 customers paying 1.
But you only have 7 customers paying 1,000.
Well, I hope they're not paying 1,000 for that meal. That would be overcharging. And if an android could smell, he would, but he doesn't. Automaton, sorry, I've really got to get that right. He sort of looks at you, but I take what you have in mind. Perhaps we could lower the price of the menu. And I mean, we have some cheap options, no? The beet soup with bread is only 3 gold. As is the mushroom stew.
Well,
Perhaps, my friend Arkorvos here can help you with that. He's quite the alchemist. A little added excitement to mushroom soup is,
Well, if they want excitement, won't fried ostrich and egg omelette do? Or roast heron and chopped sundews? Or stuffed trout, cabbage, succotash, and plum pudding? I mean, goodness me, it's not like the menu lacks for excitement.
well, it seems refined, certainly.
Perhaps a discount, you suggest? Lower the prices.
Perhaps a less formal atmosphere could allow more people to come in without making it such an event to come in to the restaurant.
And perhaps if we only bought
know.
the glasses when they get the wine.
Things like that, yes. Or a inexpensive lunch option for business patrons and such.
I'm liking the sound of that. Let's take a seat and I'll write some of these down. And with that, I think he will sit down and listen to some of your food suggestions and business suggestions. A conversation that will go long into the night as Colette begins to play, and we will end.
Yeah.
Okay. Couple of things that I missed out at the time that I will give now. There was 120 XP for the completion of the taking the alchemy jugs over.
Okay.
And 80 XP, sorry, so you might as well just add 200 each. 80 XP for gaining the assistance of Karnak and going off to that.
Alright.
Obviously, there will be XP for the other quests if you do them.
yeah.
But right now, I think we'll come to MEPs. I'm going backwards. I think Rico.
So I love the like the peacock stick
Stick of
hilarious.
usefulness.
Yeah, hilarious. Yeah, we're definitely coming back for that. I don't care. But I think my MVP for this session is going to have to go to James for coming up with a myriad of characters and accents for our impromptu shopping trip.
50 NPCs that we
I thought that you did a fantastic job, James. So
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I kind of thought we'd go. Yeah, I would like to swing by that shop and buy that item, but I can't resist it. Like, for me, the idea in a place of like a fantasy city with fantasy magical shops, it's just like, why would we not want to delve into those and see what random shit they've got going on?
Exactly.
So yeah, well, thank you. Miyago?
I'm going to go with Bastard the Goat. Boom.
Yes, relative, I think, of both Satan and Demon. So we have Satan the goat in Beldania, who's an actual goat that Natasha looks after. No, wait, that's Demon, right? Because Satan...
No.
Oh, is that Satan? Oh, okay.
Satan.
So I think Demon was a goat that Milton rescued. He may also have been Satan, actually. Where they were told to go and track down Satan, but they found out it was a goat. Yeah, I think goats are evil. I really do. But I kind of like them. So, yeah, good. I'm glad you like them too.
I'm just going to rename him Samael and then keep putting quintessence into him.
We could name him Satan, but it's that like fake chicken made out of wheat.
The wheat.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have that here. I think we have corn instead, spelled with a Q for some odd reason. Joe.
I mean, Satan has many names. We can find some other ones.
Indeed. I think one sort of in general, just to like all the just stuff that like is not what I was expecting to have, like, and not a problem with it at all, right? Like, I was just like, we're overhearing conversations on a train, like in the middle of the sort of commute. You know what I mean? It's just sort of, it's like a completely weird bunch of things going on, and then like obviously we have Rico playing this undead skeleton musician, but even still, somehow I did not suspect we were going into a massive dispute between various undead musicians. Like, it's what a crazy angle, along with the goat and stuff. But my one singular one in honor of the conversation that we had really off air during the break about British and American English was then going to the map place and the constant use of the word catacombs, which is not how we say it here, which has always been funny to me.
What are they to you?
Catacombs.
That's how I'd say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Josh, you're
Okay, I heard maybe 2 years ago. I heard someone else British say catacombs, and it was like, yeah, it's hilarious. I love it. So I
the
enjoyed
reason
it.
we say catacombs is it rhymes beautifully with tombs.
I get it. I completely
Great for
understand.
poetry.
And no one says catacombs like bombs, so I don't.
No, indeed.
That's true.
Yeah, no, I can. I've never thought of that. I am renowned for mispronouncing certain really weird
Yeah, but I've
words,
definitely heard
Yeah,
that
yeah.
from other British folk.
Yeah, there's definitely something along those lines that I get very wrong. But yeah, no, I think that one's an interesting one, and obviously we're going to be saying it 1,000 times more if we go there. I think I liked the map shop in general. I think that was good fun. I hadn't intended originally to go there, and then actually Jamal, my co-writer, was just like, "Why would you not roleplay that?" And I was like, "Huh? Sure, why not?" Because we end up doing 7 sessions and getting nowhere. That's why. Speaking of which, Josh, I know that you were hoping to get on the road a little quicker. Did you enjoy today's episode, and what was your MVP?
Yeah, definitely. I think one is the conversation we had about the dragon, and Bellows being like, "Why are we scared of a dragon that can't break down a wall?"
It's good logic.
It is good logic. And then the other one is earlier to that. I think it was Rico and Diego who was talking about how basically saying that dragons are Pokemon that just say their name all the time. Nothing else.
Yeah.
Say nothing else, just that they say their own names a lot.
Behold, I am Gravlax.
Yeah, I've got a.
Steve, we'll do this.
I got a couple
Steve
of
is
moments.
great and mighty.
I did also like the dragon that can't break down a wall logic, and I love what you're going to discover when you eventually do go there, and you're just like, oh, okay. So I always like moments like that when people ask questions, and I'm like, Do you know what? That's a very logical statement if one didn't know what I know as the DM. Always love those discrepancies. Firstly, for you guys going along with the madness that was today's session, you know. I mean, I think that, you know, obviously in this world there was always going to be some weird shit going on. But I love being sort of slightly playful while still trying to keep things interesting, and I definitely think this is the right campaign for sticks that have peacock heads and yellow people.
I mean, I will say that this is probably the strangest like group of characters that I've ever had in a.
Well, exactly, right?
Right.
Yeah, you know, but I think that I still, even 4 episodes in, I'm just loving certain characterizations. I love the concept of Elle saying this is his indoor voice, and Bellows replying, and I don't like to use it, which is just great. I kind of, a lot of my characters, a lot of my NPCs want to shout back at Bellows. It's quite tempting. I love how Josh, who in a lot of my campaigns takes quite a... Sorry, I've got horrible hiccups. Takes quite a primary role and a very talkative role, is playing this super quiet, shy character. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the slow development of that. You know, the moment where he had the card for Arkorovos, but he wasn't willing to say anything out loud, so he's sort of just going...
Yeah.
over in the background, which is
Can
great.
you talk in my head?
Yeah, exactly, right?
Okay. You talk to him telepathically.
I love that I've no idea what weird shit Arkorovos is going to do next, but that I could 100,000% guarantee if I offered him a magical goat, he would take it. I was like, I don't know what this character doesn't do, but I know it'll do this. So that was really enjoyable.
I saw the justification happening in Iago's face as it was happening. He's just like, fuck, I wanted all this other stuff, but god damn.
And for a goat, but...
A magical goat? Ah, shit.
It's a goat.
Yeah, I mean, when do you not want an ivory goat? And then also, like, I love the concept of Elle consistently trying to be like, hello, I'm a musician. And they're just like, there's these 2 undead musicians who actually matter. And he's just like, I'm a musician. And they're like, yeah, but we want one with a name. Like, go get me a musician. Like, I didn't think of that part of the quest when I was doing it. But it was so much fun just to sort of, not even rip him to shreds, but just ignore him completely. So I really enjoyed that. That silly element. But yeah, characterization is just such a beautiful thing with this group. So I think just such a credit to you guys. It's a fabulous job. And I can't wait to play next week. Where we probably still won't get to a dungeon if we're being real. We'll try valiantly, but I don't know if we'll get there.
We'll try to, like, you know...
At least get on the airship, you know.
Yeah, I think
try
Start moving in that direction. Yeah.
I think discussions will happen out of session. I think that's the plan. But yeah, as far as I know, I believe we're all here next week. Is that right, Rico? You're here next week?
That is correct. I'm here
and
next
then
week.
the following week. Is it? Yeah, cool. So we look forward to seeing you next week. But I think that is where we are going to end. So just a quick couple of housekeeping things. Noob is sweetest. Noob is sweetest. I'm still not used to using chat now that I've transferred to Roll20. I'll get there one day. Thanks so much for the follow. Welcome to Duck Pond. Keep the fuck away from my